Good early morning. Hello, y'all. I don't have a big spiel this morning. Just gonna jump into Atlanta. How's that? It's early. Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday. I am Miss T. I grew up in racing, and I'm writing my dad's book, so I'm researching. So let's go to the races. I'm listening to some music here, and it's distracting my whole routine, but that's okay. Let's go racing.
The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
As the season began and Ford rolled out its big guns, have you driven a Ford lately was the last concern of Chevrolet's Bowtie Brigade as they unleashed the new Monte Carlo on Daytona's historic high banks. There wasn't a Ford in sight to watch the duel between Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt. The second Daytona in a row for Marlin. For Dale, the Daytona 500 remains an elusive dream.
It's the Daytona 500. I ain't supposed to win the damn thing, right?
Oh, yeah. I like his place. Nobody was laughing as Brooke Gordon and everyone else watched her husband Jeff at the wheel of his Chevy Monte Carlo, dominated Rockingham, leading 391 of 492 laps and positioning himself as one to watch in NASCAR. And Terry Labonte took Richmond, making it 3 straight for Chevrolet.
Good morning.
In a row for car owner Rick Hendrick.
I think that's you, Chief. How are you
Their
doing?
winning ways, we're about to find out. The 4th race of the
Trying to read far away. I didn't bring up my thing yet.
Hi and welcome. We've got a great
Stella.
racing here on ABC Sports for you. The stock cars
What you
here
doing?
at Motor Speedway, the International Race
What
of
you doing,
Champions. And what we
monkey?
have
You can
here
bite
for
your
you
food.
now
That's
is
your
a
food. Go
battle
ahead.
Between
Stella,
manufacturers,
get it.
Ford, Chevrolet. Remember,
I
Atlanta
forgot I gave her food a half hour ago, but if I don't tell her it's hers, she won't eat it.
here
Poor
has been
thing.
by Ford, 2 by Chevrolet.
You're so good.
So if Ford's going to have their chance here early in the season, this could be the track where it's going to
Let's
happen.
not dump that off my
Now the first
table.
5 cars
How are you doing this
field are
morning?
Chevrolet.
I'm doing okay. I've been a little bit tired.
Paul,
It's been keeping me from streaming a little, but
sports most dominant.
I said screw it this morning. I was up early enough.
But in
Hi,
reality,
Stella.
not unusual.
What are you doing?
Wallace's series
Hi.
leading 8 wins a year
Are
ago.
you good,
came in the
puppy?
first 7
Did you
races.
bite your
And
food?
Dale Earnhardt didn't win his.
You can bite your food. Go ahead.
Darlington.
That's
and
Stelly's.
2 weeks away. But the big
Oh my God, she's pulling my wall down. I don't know if you can tell.
right here, the Chevrolet Monte
Stelly,
Carlo.
wait.
The GM engineers have done their homework. The rounded nose and tapered tail have produced a balanced downforce that's been downright unbeatable in the first 3 events of the year.
Okay.
Then they come here to Atlanta and sweep the top 5 spots in qualifying, including a record-setting.
Took care of all my puppy and kitty. What you doing here? You monkey.
4 in a row.
You can't break the wall.
Well, Jerry, you're right. They're all.
Oh, she's doing it again.
Way back to the outside of row 3 before we.
What are you doing?
Nameplate on the front of a car.
What are you?
Belonging to Ricky.
It's not funny.
NASCAR
She's
officials
laughing.
have done is they've made some rule changes for this race.
Just eat your food.
Flatter side.
I don't think she likes the wall shut.
Changed the spoiler in the front and they've lowered the spoiler in the rear. They've reduced
Let
it.
me,
And many of the people say that,
see what
that
you
should have
write.
helped. It didn't help. in
My poor
qualifying.
dog's
But the
distracted
jury is still
me.
out As to how
I'm glad you're here this morning.
in drafting conditions, and the draft does.
This is Atlanta. Now, I wasn't at Atlanta, but I know my dad was my ex, but I don't think they qualified either. They were with another team.
Thus far. Jack, to see how well the young lions are doing this season,
Let me get this.
you need to look no further than the front row. That's where Bobby
Up
Labonte, a
here.
third-year Winston Cup driver, starts the race today. Now, 2 weeks ago, in only his 3rd race for car owner Joe Gibbs,
You monkey.
second behind another young lion, Jeff Gordon, with 3 career victories to his credit in 3 years on the circuit. Now, both of these drivers
My
expect
puppy
to have
dog.
good days today.
What in the
but they
heck?
are
My
in
phone won't reset here.
contingent of
Sorry,
all the way
Chief.
back in the 8th spot.
Oh, my nose.
Derek Cope with 2
Let's see,
career
let's see,
victories.
where are
Many
we at?
people say that Derek has matured and is coming into his own as a Winston Cup driver. You can go a little further back. Jeremy Mayfield 14th, John Andretti 15th. Both are in a Ford. Expect to have a great day.
Gotta bring my chat up. I can't really see it.
Green flag right up here at the starters.
I can see it's you, but
Young guys as well. Now, covering the action today for us is Bob Jenkins and Benny Parsons up on top of the grandstand. And guys, it's one thing to go quick in qualifying, another to go quick for 500 miles.
You're absolutely.
What area are you in? It says you absolutely love the area.
The first time in history that Chevy has won the first 3 races of a NASCAR Winston.
Is it different from where you lived before?
For doing all that hard work last winter.
You know, the victories at Rockingham and Richmond were no surprise because last winter, as
Jesus, Stel.
and building the cars, that's what they were saying. The cars would really be good at Rockingham, Richmond, and here in Atlanta. Daytona wasn't a surprise. It's almost reminiscent of 10 years ago when the Ford Thunderbird had so much success. Everyone said that Ford built a race car and tried to sell it to the public. Today, that's what they're saying about Chevrolet. They built a race car. They're trying to make it a passenger car.
Well, in the next 4 hours, we'll see how things go.
Yeah, there's backstretch seats.
Back for the starting lineup.
They just want to spend big money. They'd rather have less seats and charge twice as much for them. I'm of the opinion they've just about priced normal average people out of a racing vacation at this point. Oh, wow. Is this a new place? 600 people is cool. I lived in a town of 109 once. Everybody knows what you're doing. I lived from 2013 to 2020. I pretty much knew everybody, and everybody knew me. And weirdest thing about little towns,
Local break when you.
they attract a lot of people that are on the run. A lot of times.
Shut up.
Like transient people. Like some are good, some are just on bad luck, but some are criminal.
You both do the field, right? You do it together, just you. I don't know.
We've sometimes.
Oh wow, that's neat to know. That's Atlanta.
Yeah, right over here on the left side.
I've been to Atlanta like 3 times, maybe 4. It's close to North Carolina. I know I drove there twice, and I might have rode or flew there a couple times as well. I'm trying to remember. I know I drove with Lori a couple times. This is really quiet, isn't it? Oh, it's loud. Maybe it's just my dog. This race here, I think that my dad was with that 67 that he took to Daytona, or helped at Daytona.
500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The engine's already running down on the starting field, sitting on pit road, and ready to roll out. Today is a magnificently beautiful day. It's going to be perfect for watching racing. It's going to be perfect.
Yeah, RV parking.
The track here is just a bit over 1.5 miles long. And the real key to that is that most of the time in the lap, you're turning. So tires are important.
This is whatever they call old Atlanta before they did something weird to it.
500 miles. That's 328 laps. And of course, we've already indicated that Dale Earnhardt will lead the field toward the green flag. First fuel stops will come at about the 55th lap through the 60th lap. So now as the field begins to pull...
Tell you what, my music is in the background. It's driving me crazy.
Cars, 4 provisionals, Ford's dominating the field. Now let's take a look at this starting field.
Dale Earnhardt's pole-sitting speed is a new event record by about 5 miles an hour. Outside of row number 1 for the second time in his career will be Bobby Labonte.
Avril Lavigne was making my head spin too early for that shit.
Who has 3 wins at this facility. Row number 3, with 2 wins in the last 5 events, and the 1987 winner of this race, Ricky Rudd.
Yeah, I hear that. Like, it's
And Derek
recreational, of course.
driving for Richard.
Probably really cheap. It's expensive in Florida.
Finds himself 9th in the point standings at this point in the season.
Back in row 6, Jimmy Hensley and Rusty Wallace looking for his first victory in 1995. As we look at the rest of the cars, there's Mark Martin. Car is in practice, one of the fastest Fords here.
Benny, one thing that Paul
I
mentioned.
don't know if we make the field or not. I can't remember.
Long here.
I know he was with Kenny for this race. This will be the last race he was with that Cunningham team, and that would have been Kenny Bouchard. I don't believe they have the power to have made it into these races.
Straight about
They were about 10 miles an hour off at Daytona.
driver.
I skipped Rockingham and Richmond just because I know my dad didn't have a car going there.
Him on the inside of row number 50.
I know he was with Cunningham this race, and then the next race he'll be with Moroso. But I believe that
Number 16.
Bobby Hillen will be running the Busch car. I think they ran Busch and Cobb.
Finds himself way back in
In the next race, I'll do.
set for the green flag here, and at least one more lap. The provisionals went to Michael,
If there's a...
Kyle Petty, also Randy LaJoy, and Jimmy Spencer.
Okay, so they didn't get a provisional, so they didn't get to the field, but
Hence our coverage of this event here today. Mark Martin will carry one as he warms up the tires here on the main
they might... No, they didn't run Busch. They ran ARCA here, I think.
back of
They tried to run ARCA. I don't think Laura qualified. They were working with a young team,
Looking at Derek Cope.
a
Also
little team.
in the Sitco Ford.
But my dad, the next race will go to Moroso
and Jared Mayfield will also carry one of our in-car cameras.
with Hillen.
Are the drivers who failed to qualify. 10th
Yeah, Ken Bouchard is on the list.
Ward Burton. Last year's pole sitter for this race, Loy Allen, did not qualify.
Excuse me.
Joe Carter both crashed during practice here for this event.
Also, Lloyd.
Excuse me.
Really hard. That was he did try to qualify a backup car, second car, and was not quite fast enough.
Here's Jerry Punch with a report from pit.
Holy crap.
For the green.
Guys, the cars that won this race a year ago had
And that's through a dispensary? My goodness.
Thunderbird replaced their race engine. The
Thank you.
motor they brought here had a problem with the rocker arm being bent. They would put a motor in that would not.
Okay, I got to see what I thought I was seeing. I thought he was with Ken Bouchard this race. I saw that they didn't qualify.
You know, last year we were in the midst of the Hoosier tire, Goodyear tire battle. Hoosier has gone by the boards. But here's the situation. Goodyear has brought a brand new tire here. After problems, we'll tell you a little bit more about it later as we get ready for the green flag.
Ernie Irvin is on the flag stand for the
Crap.
wave of the green flag. There it is, and the Purelator.
I just now noticed that my ads went up. Crap, crap, crap. Sorry.
The right rear tire is down.
Didn't even get to the start-finish line, and our first caution waves here on the speedway. Mike Wallace's car rather badly damaged, Benny.
And under NASCAR.
Hi, Pops. Good morning. How are you?
Back to the start-finish line.
Sorry.
It will be Dale Earnhardt who leads them around, and he will
Sorry.
for the 25th race here in Atlanta.
Sorry, I didn't snooze the ads. I tried to snooze the ad before it started
Winston Cup Series.
on the green flag, but
Kind of an auspicious start here as Mike Wallace tags the inside.
I know you got a
The starting
sub, so that's
Take a
good.
look and see how it happened.
Good morning. I've been lurking you. I've been like so tired that sometimes I just get so tired I sleep.
But he
So forced myself this morning.
Angle and just see.
it looked like that
I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad you got your internet back.
have helped him.
Anyway, this was the green flag start,
More time.
and someone got in the back of,
Did he get through that hole? Looks like maybe Jeff Burton might have just touched Mike Wallace in the back.
which is probably a missed shift on a 90 car, to be honest. Mike Wallace probably missed a shift.
Down here and will have to be towed from the racetrack. Here's Jack Aruth.
Bob, the most important thing that the crew wanted to know is just as we did. What happened? Mike Wallace radioed into the Heilig-Myers crew that someone banged him in the back. You know, when you're getting ready, anticipating the start, sometimes...
He would never admit if he missed a shift, not in a million years. I know the dude.
But this time it was costly.
I know the dude enough.
It appears
I had my one
although he is okay, you can
introduction to him at a private party, and actually it wasn't an introduction. I walked up and said,
just a moment.
it was at Lake Speed's, it was a 4th of July party at the Venturini's with the Lake Speed crew. He happened to be there. I walked up to him, put my hand out, and said, "Hi, Mike. I'm Tanya. I'm Vic Kangus's daughter." And he said, "So," right to my face, blatantly standing in the Venturini's kitchen. I will never forget that. And I will never not tell people he did that to me. So if he apologizes someday, maybe I'll stop saying it. Yeah, you got to take those naps, Chief, when you need them. I was talking to my mom, and she said, just sleep if you need to sleep. But it's true. I need to sleep. I do. Yeah, Mike Wallace. I love Kenny. I even volunteered at Rusty's owners, Don Miller's museum.
Yeah, so was I.
But that's the one person, the one time in racing that someone was rude blatantly to my face, and it was Michael Wallace. So, sorry, Kenny. Sorry, Rusty. But you have a shithead brother. Unless it was just back then in '96 when he thought his shit didn't stink either. I don't know if he's an astronaut. I just know how he was to me, and it was my first and last attempt at speaking to someone like that. I divorced 5 guys that acted like that.
So left front spin.
So,
Left front spin.
I have a problem with men that have a problem with women. That's how I am. Because I was a woman in a man's world. I was always treated like one of the guys in the pits. I owned race cars. I've worked on them my whole life. And for some shithead that hadn't even made it yet in racing to tell me so to my face, I mean, that's balls. Just because I'm small and I'm a woman, you can bully.
Only one lap of competition.
I've only been smacked once, and it was,
And Terry Labonte.
man, it was hit with a cross, and I took that guy off his feet.
Moving up, Sterling Marlin, Dick Trickle, and Bobby Hamilton. Now, we've been keeping an eye
I shouldn't probably say all that. But I'm a little feisty when it comes to being
at the left.
treated like crap.
Where the left headlight would go on a street car, there is a dent on the 8 car. So obviously he did tag the 90 car just a little bit. Not a lot of damage, but it doesn't take a lot as these.
Yeah, usually a leopard that can't change their stripes.
And look at the whole thing again, and it'll be a little clearer for it.
But I heard he was a fighter anyway. If you watch Kenny Wallace's stuff, he was always throwing punches in the kitchen.
And touched the 90 car in the back and some pretty.
For some reason he felt little.
It's amazing that Wallace was able to hit the wall that hard this early going on the first lap.
Another angle, the same situation.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say the truth. I mean, I hate that happen. Because I've met everybody else I've met in racing that actually matters has all been friendly. Have all been respectful of me and my father and our family.
Wow.
Yeah, it's probably because he just can't really do what he should have probably stuck to car building.
Badly damaged, and by the way, he started.
I don't hold punches. When someone throws me down, man, I'm such a dick.
Making pit stop.
I can be such a dick when people are like that to me.
Number 42, and the.
And this is 96 now, and I'll never forget. And I'll also never forget the girl in 7th grade that said I didn't belong there when I went to sit down for lunch. Never forget her either, Cheryl.
Who can finish
So,
the entire story that he.
I keep a tab. I got a list. You made the list.
Here in the fall race, where Goodyear's brought a narrower tire and a harder compound for the right side. Many of the competitors feel that will solve the problem that they encountered in this race, the fall version of it, last year.
We're about to go green
Yeah, bullies suck.
for the first time and complete some laps here under green. Dale Earnhardt is.
I don't.
At the moment with
I used to take so much crap.
behind him, the pace car.
Because back in the day, instead of me, okay, he said that to me, I looked at him and I just turned and walked away instead of saying, you're a fuckhead.
The honorary starter for today's race, and now let's see if we can get some laps of competition in.
Oh, no. I'm very fair. You didn't tell me I didn't matter.
One more time.
I don't know, man. I was caught so off guard by that it just blew my mind. I was like,
Positions being fought for at the tape.
walked away.
front, they're in single file formation as Earnhardt once again leads them down in front of Bobby Labonte. They pulled away a little bit from the third place competitor at the moment. And right on his back bumper is Jeff Gordon.
It's awful. It's awful. When you're little and short and blonde and a girl.
Inside of Steve Grissom.
It never actually mattered.
John Andretti, the white 37.
Till that moment I felt naked.
We ride at the moment.
Sweet.
Just ahead.
37 car, Little Caesar.
John Andretti with impressive performances so far the year. And by the way, this is John Andretti's 32nd birthday today. Happy birthday. That's from Jeremy Mayfield's car. Looking back on the 21 of Morgan Shepherd. How close they come.
On the flip side, I was working for Lake, which I would say is one of the nicest people I've ever met in racing. He was always very welcoming to
Car made a poor second corner.
friends, family.
Allowed John Andretti to get the position.
He bought every team's family a condo for a week at Daytona for the July race. I mean, they were good people in racing.
Mike Wallace has been checked out in the infield care center. And Mike, you're okay? But
My favorite guy.
a little push from behind. Did it? People in front of you slow up at first?
Sad that Junie Dunleavy,
Really slipped.
his boss, was such a nice guy.
What was going on? It's just a shame the car behind us didn't pay attention to the start. I mean, we didn't even get the green flag yet. We hadn't even crossed the start-finish line. And it's a shame. You know, the Heiligmeyer Ford Thunderbird was, it appeared it was going to be a good day. And I cannot believe that they can't get...
You want to hear karma? My dad went to work for him about a year later, in 97, for 2 weeks.
It's a shame.
Mike Wallace had high.
My dad was like, screw that shit.
And we have a crash up in corner number 2 that will involve several cars running at the tail of the field.
Looks like
Because we'll get up to that in 97. He'll be there for Daytona and something else. And I asked him, why didn't he make the race in Daytona? The car was fast. He said Mike hit the wall in the 125s.
Bill Parsons and number 19.
So,
Benny mentioned there's Dave
I'm sure that's our fault, too.
who has some damage on the left rear. The field moves through the area of the crash and is picked up by the pace car. Parsons begins to move away, although he too has heavy damage in the right rear portion of that machine.
It's a pretty good idea in a race car not to hit shit.
well, they go down the corner. It looks like the 11 car
Yeah, he's in a line that ain't a line.
get together.
Puts out his own brother.
Yeah, Steve Kinzer.
Oh, no, Steve Kinzer. He's putting out his old ride. That's right.
Between those two, Kinzer spins as he comes off the racetrack. Other cars start trying to.
Bodine was in the 11, which was Junior Johnson's, and that
Randy LaJoy. There's Phil Parsons spinning in.
other car was his ride the previous year.
An
Brett's.
unfortunate situation for Steve Kinzer as we once again look at it.
That's pretty shitty, because they always said Steve couldn't drive a big car and all, but it looked to me like he got put out.
Slid to the inside of the racetrack. And for Steve Kinzer, he finally makes a race this year. In fact,
Jeff Bodine could drive.
qualifying performance, good enough to start.
I knew
But-
Todd a little from being a kid, in the,
he finds himself
just know who he was, because he hung out with the
infield grab
guys that
number 2.
we all hung out with on occasion. They were from New York, so they weren't there every week.
If Steve is okay, we'll take a
But if Jeff was there, sometimes he'd be there. But he was only like 14, Todd was, and Brett, I didn't meet him. But Todd and Brett, nice guys, they just don't seem to have the spatial awareness when they drove a lot. They always seem to bump people. Just opinions. Oh, Kinzer can drive like crazy. They said he couldn't, but he ended up getting put out and stuff. The 26 was a pretty good team. I'd say mid-level. If they win, it's like something really special has to happen. But funding-wise, they were really less funded than other teams. The 26. I guess I'm saying I don't think Kinzer ever got a fair shake. 47. Wonder if that was the start of ST Motorsports.
They got some body work hanging off that 22.
This is a Holy shit.
Ain't that the truth?
This is a
Telling you.
raw satellite feed, so I can skip some of the commercial hour. And they're not talking.
Trailing cars, but they should be here in the garage area for quite some time.
I think that was Bill Davis's car right there. I could be wrong.
In this accident, fortunately, no reports of any injury. Didn't look like it. John Andretti, Dave Marcus, Randy LaJoy, Jimmy Spencer,
LaJoy.
and Steve Kinzer, but also involved Billy Standridge. So,
Okay, Standridge in the
complex
47.
accident up against the wall in turn 2 started when Brett Bodine and Steve Kinzer got together.
I believe that was Phil Parsons that was involved in the crash and not John Andretti as we had listed there. But a lot of
I think they are coming back, IROC, in a
on the back
exhibition type thing. I heard they had Earnhardt's original car up at Chicago for a show anyway.
drivers are in good shape, but the same cannot be said of a lot of
I
race
got to see them race at Daytona,
race, but without a right.
I think in 95.
We'll be back with more live coverage of the Purolator 500 from Atlanta Motor Speedway.
I think they raced on Saturday on our qualifying day. They're at Lime Rock? Okay, so I know that Ray Evernham is involved in some sort of remake of the series.
Just like you talked, mental.
Yeah, that's right.
Who that?
Kinzer. Because he was really...
True. I agree.
Yep.
I think NASCAR is rock. I mean, they got these screwed up suspended cars, 3,500 pound cars with F1 suspension on them. It's like
You need to back it up a little bit, can you?
somebody didn't read the science book.
Okay, now let it roll. See, as he goes in the corner,
Yeah.
right here,
To be honest, the F1
you see how the car's
front end was the original style that they did the modifieds with. Like the tour mods, they have
We pay him the
You're
big
the
bucks.
best.
Yeah.
they have an F1
You know.
That's right. Yep.
history. The reason I say that, this guy that mentored my dad, who built a lot of the New England modifieds in the 1960s, he actually built them in the 50s and 60s.
You just
This guy, Marty.
Right. We don't have to read through that.
And he was stationed out in Europe, and he got to see the race somewhere, and he measured the front end geometry and stuff and brought that technology back to New Hampshire, of all places. Taught my dad, and my dad built cars all through at Stafford and stuff like that when the tour was growing. And, you know, Stafford, Thompson, Westboro, Seekonk, we ran a lot of them. Star, Monadnock, Claremont, even going south, Wall, Lebanon Valley, Lee. Then we go even further south, Riverhead, Islip, Long Island, Trenton, Oswego. You know, we'd start traveling out like that, down to Martinsville.
We're back under
A little bit of Richmond. I think that coming in a little later in the tour, like a Featherlight days. But
field rundown now.
yeah, we traveled a lot.
On the pole, went through that first.
It is getting harder to watch. I hate to confess, but
lead again.
I watch the trucks and I watch Bush
Continued to lead the field.
almost every week. But
Second caution is
it's very rare I'll sit down and watch the Cup race. My son does in the other room. He keeps me up to date on how Priest is doing and stuff like that. You know, people I care about how they're doing.
Now, right,
And
he's going to lose control. Watches it.
yeah, I
Heads for the infield.
I just can't really handle watching it
Goes around.
because it's not real. All right,
Steve Kinzer's car
if you make a car
out of the way.
in a factory
He's on, and the
or
crowd
send it like an erector set out to the teams and say, here's your
do well.
your assembly
Incredible success as a
notes and here's your parts. Put it together, don't change anything. Is that racing?
He is all right. Steve, I tell
To me, I wouldn't. Even if I had
Winston Cup.
$700 million, I'd never run a Cup car. You might as well just say,
down here.
I'm going to write a $8 million check to NASCAR and say I did. Because that's all you're doing. I mean, NASCAR's making money on those cars.
And all the people on this team.
I don't even want to get into where all the money goes.
I'm going to make
Because I see Daytona Taj Mahal down the road. And if you could see that place, it's ungodly sick money. And so you know where all the money went.
Well, you know, it's a lot of, you know.
And then you see teams falling off, and you can't build cars in your backyard. And they've done a really good job at making it just so perfect that no one really has to have a brain.
After a quarter panel, so, you know, I don't know if somebody had...
Yeah. I mean, they were gorgeous in the day when everybody built their own. And,
you know, it's part of
you know,
once in a while. It's,
the fun part was when they would take a pile of steel, put it on a jig, cut it all up, and it makes a chassis. And then they add their parts onto it, and they make their A-frames just right, how they want their wheels to go. And they put all their mounts for everything, for all their suspension parts in the ideal place for that car. And if they're not ideal, they change it. And you can't do none of that on Cup cars no more. I mean, like, there's no innovation. The only people innovating are the engineers or whoever is making all those big money dollars who don't know how to even... The closest thing I can explain to what a Cup car is like is if you're ever on a road in a regular highway car, and you get past that certain apex where you're avoiding a wreck or something where the car just takes off on you, where you almost saved it, and it takes off. That's how they drive. That is just what's expected if it don't take off on you. Like, I've been on the highway and had a car take off on me and do a donut and stuff like that. And it's not a fun feeling. And I can imagine once they get to a certain point in the apex, you don't feel that car under you, and it's almost to that point where it's just going to end up in the field, like if you were on a real road. It's just the way they're suspended. It gets past that certain arc point, and they have no more grip.
Picking up a push.
It's to do with the camber and the angles of the tire. Like, different in suspension is...
And sometimes spin.
The same as the rear, basically, which... Truck arms, you need trailing arms to make your rear end angles right and everything like that. Whatever they're doing there, it's just like... Get to that certain apex point, that centrifugal point, and it's a question mark whether the car is going to hold the road or not. Just like a real car. But Busch is a little different. Cup's a little different. Another thing that hurts is back in the day, all the Cup cars like these, when they would take a big hit or something, they'd either turn them into a show car or they'd sell them to an ARCA team. And then the ARCA teams were able to have these secondhand cars and go racing as well and be a good starter. It's a good starter series. You know, ARCA was cheaper. They could take an old Cup car, an old Cup chassis, and make it their ARCA car. They can't do that anymore either. They've pretty much done everything they could to cut off the head of the snake of NASCAR, or of the backyard builder.
And a whole bunch of cars are behind Hamilton.
Now with charters, you just know who's showing up at their track, you know. They're guaranteed a spot.
And now
I liked back in the day when you take 60 cars to Daytona and only 40 make the field. Even though that's not fun for the little guy, but it's really fun for the little guy that gets in the race. You know what I'm saying?
On the inside and tried also to take a position away from Darrell Waltrip. They run down the straightaway side by side. That's the 10 car.
Yeah, you can't put 3,600-pound car on a 1,500-pound car suspension, or even a 2,500-pound car suspension. We came out of the late model 2,500-pound car, a garage up north, and these are about 1,000 more. Not totally, but everything has to be beefed up. Like, you took all your modified and Chevy Camaro front ends from the late model stocks and all them, way different suspension than these things are today. I mean, but these back then, they used the same basic technology. They just had to have 2,000-pound springs instead of 1,500 or something. Because when you're going in the corner, you've got 3,600 pounds of car coming forward. Not necessarily tracks like this. You don't really lift too much. But when you lift,
Rick Mast in number 1.
basically the theory that I was taught is, Dad said to me when I was about 12 years old, where is the weight on the 4 tires? Only thing that touches the track is 4 tires. Where is the weight when you're going down the back stretch? And I said, well, it's on all 4 wheels. And he said, okay, you're going to get to the corner before you ever turn the steering wheel, before you ever touch the brake, you might lift. Where's the weight go? Equally to the front wheels, if you don't turn the wheel. The minute you turn the wheel, that's when things start happening. That's when the weight goes to the right front and the right rear, pretty much if you didn't do anything. Just turn the corner. But you want the car to go get that weight from the right front to the left rear as quick as you can. If you get it to the left rear too quick, you're going to push. If you get it to the right rear a little bit, it's going to be loose. So if the right rear is driving more, you're going to be loose. If the left rear is driving more, you're going to be tight. Because coming out of the turn is totally to do with the rear of the car. Entering the turn is totally to do with the front of the car. Mid-turn is your cross weight, your wedge, how quick that transfer goes to the left rear and across to the right. Now, you don't have to get it to the right. It goes there automatically, but to disperse it to the left. You can do it by stiffer springs. You can do it by a shorter spring. You can do it by a 60-40 rebound shock in your left rear. Something that doesn't release the weight as quick, or if you're pushing, you want it to release a little quicker so that you have a 50-50. Just depends. Like sometimes
he has stayed within 2-3 car lengths.
Sometimes it just takes looking at the tire temps sometimes to know where you want to put your weight.
4 seconds between Earnhardt and Gordon, and about a 3.5-second interval back to 5th place Darrell Waltrip.
And we see in the graphic that Terry Labonte has...
Yeah, that's always been a problem with the most money a team has, but they're only going to have X amount of money. Most of the money that the teams use is sponsor money.
Bobby Labonte up with him.
Most teams don't use their own money because they don't have it. I mean, if you think about how much it costs to run every single race, it's got to be sponsor driven. Now, I don't even know how they get paid nowadays. Used to be just the purse was based on your ticket sales and overhead, whatever it costs to operate with the lights and staff or whatever.
Earnhardt continues to lead over.
Now I hear
We will be back.
the tracks
And a word from our
don't get that. But NASCAR owns most of the tracks, so what's it matter, right? The tracks make their money on parking and vendor stuff, food, and
33 cars.
their own souvenirs and stuff. That's how a track makes money.
33.
So the purse money all goes to NASCAR. And they'll distribute pay.
33. Okay.
And then the teams get TV stuff now or whatever, but there's no way, even with them winning the race, if you figure out how much it costs to race and how much it costs to, like, how much money you win the race, it doesn't ever work out.
Yeah, he's catching.
You have to have sponsors. You have to have contingencies. Like the contingencies, I don't know if people know, all those stickers on the front nose of the car, right in front of the number, those are all contingencies. In order to get to contingency money, you have to have that sticker on the car. There's actually somebody that goes around with a clipboard and checks all the stickers everybody's got to make sure they got everything they should in order to get eligible for the contingency money. And that was another way that teams made money. I don't know how they handle contingency nowadays. I know at short tracks like Stafford, if you wanted to sponsor a lap, Stafford Springs every Friday has the most awesome racing. SK lights, super lates, regular late models, street stock. They have such a good program, and they have lap contingency sponsors. So-and-so's family sponsored $50 for this lap, or so-and-so contingency gives the top 3 street stocks $50 each, or something. You can do that. You can call Stafford, and you'll be all on flow, and your name and everything mentioned as a contingency. So there's all ways to get involved. Ow, twisted up. There's ways to get involved in racing like that, and there's good stuff. He put double contingency stickers. That's funny. Always trying to find an angle, ain't you? Yeah, it's pretty cool though. I think the only time you wouldn't have a contingency, I don't know if they care about conflict. Like if you're sponsored by Pepsi and Coke as a contingency, I don't know what the deal is with that. I was never that into it to know legality kind of stuff. All I know is we couldn't wear logos on our shirts that were conflicting with our team, which is weird stuff.
The man on the move. And we can see that he consistently is running faster laps than Dale Earnhardt.
But that's a good way to advertise if, you know, YouTube channels and stuff like that. I thought about that.
Well, he doesn't have the problem that the two cars.
You know, like,
Both Earnhardt and Bobby
I'm always looking for what ways you can promote your team and stuff, and I thought of that. A lot of these local tracks do that.
Coming off, so Gordon actually can run his car over
You know.
the corner, throw the car to the turn.
But I don't have an extra $1,000 to throw away for 10 weeks or whatever.
Tried to dive beneath Earnhardt. His car is already very, very loose. Back upstairs.
Just go out back to the money tree.
The race a little bit loose because they feel like as the
This is my money tree right here in my head. It's all I got is me. I'm my most
is the highest
valuable asset.
First 6 cars are the
For what that's worth.
A couple of Fords here with Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd.
Mark and Ricky.
And 8.
As a matter of fact, let's see. The next 5 or 6 cars are
Traveled and gone to most of these guys' race shops
We started with
back in this era.
the top 10, then 3 Fords.
I've been to 1, 2, 3, top 3. I've been to all 3 of their shops.
John Kernan has a report. John?
A lot of times when I lived in North Carolina and people would come into town to visit, we would tour them around the shops. Hendricks was down towards Charlotte,
He couldn't hardly drive it. They brought it in.
and fairly close to them was the 18 car, Gibbs.
Michael Waltrip, though, has been running pretty.
Waltrip was on Rolling Hills Road.
Presley is
Then he went out to Dale Earnhardt's shop out on Route 3. Well, they named it Route 3 now.
take a
I
provision
forget what it was called.
into the
Might
race.
have been 136,
He's currently running
the
23rd.
highway. Can't remember.
this morning that his car was not as bad as qualifying would indicate. It was pretty good, but both qualifying laps, he simply got the car sideways and could not complete a good run.
Michael Waltrip is 8th in the point standings coming into this event. Derek Cope and Ken Schrader are doing battle out there for the 12th position.
I think Derek was from California. He came up to our New Hampshire track and did a personal appearance and raced up there. When he was with the Whitcomb brothers, number 10, with the checkered flag on the front. It was a pretty paint.
Morgan Shepherd watches.
Purelator.
Jeff Gordon just passed Bobby Labonte and took over 2nd position, and now Gordon sets his sights on the leader.
My first 32 years were spent in Massachusetts, so
He sure has.
I was born and raised in Massachusetts. Came from Fitchburg area, which was where all the racing people came from.
Gets a good run.
That you might hear names of, like the Bouchards or Steve Bird. He came from there. Peter Fiandaca.
Farther than Labonte. And
And then you go to the next town over, you get the Colsons.
On Dale Earnhardt. It looks like he is.
You go the next town over the other way, you get all the Brios. These are all car builders in our area.
2 car links on Earnhardt.
go south to Connecticut, you get Lindblad chassis. You
They would really
hear that every now and then, a Lindblad chassis. Not so much anymore,
The
but
tires are not worn out. They're
there's
just
a few out there in the modifieds.
Here's a field summary for you as you look for your favorite driver and where he is currently running in this race. Jeff
I
Gordon,
think Hirschman still runs a Troya chassis.
Rockingham, qualified for the pole at Richmond, and now is in second position here at Atlanta.
Now this is 1995. It's going to be a really screwed up
And there for third.
year for our family as far as where Dad was racing when. Like I said,
Morgan Shepherd.
he was helping Kenny Bouchard. They didn't make this race, but I believe they were at Atlanta working with an ARCA car driver. Her name was Laura Lane.
Another one of those
She was someone from
week when
Midwest, I think.
failed to qualify for an event, and because this is a brand new team, we're still working on 1994 points in terms of.
So they might have
So could not.
ran the ARCA show or at least practiced in it. I don't think they made the show with her.
We passed the 4-car of Sterling Marlin.
Darrell Waltrip is the next victim for Mark Martin. There he is.
But I looked up her stats, and she was a pretty good driver out
Cope and
with
Shepherd.
some ARCA the year before.
Morgan drives in the corner, backs off the gas. Let's start drift up now. Back on the gas.
This is not a racetrack that you can go flat out.
No. Some of the guys almost did in qualifying.
Did you see that washer and
Cars on Friday during qualifying on Thursday.
bolt holding the window bars in? I think that was right in front of the camera.
Past Darrell Waltrip. Take
They'd have a hissy fit about something like that nowadays in Cup. Remember the one window peg was crooked on one of the guys, and they got a fine, and
To catch Dale Earnhardt. There he goes.
NASCAR's lost their mind.
Where? Someplace.
There he is in the middle of the backstretch.
There he is. I knew he was out there someplace.
And Gordon has been able to come within about 6 car lengths or 5, but cannot move any closer. So Dale
These two did dominate.
on to the lead as we have completed
In my opinion,
328 laps.
the 3-car, their operation I've seen,
Back in a moment.
that's regular old school. Even though they had a lot of money from winning, they were pretty old school. The cars being worked on by people and little,
Morgan was right on the outside. This
all the machine work and
Going to get him this.
all of that necessary to make a car right.
I hate it when Mikey does that.
At this time, the Hendricks was a little bit different. You go to their shop and they got this race shop, big, nice, pretty. But then right across the driveways, this bigger, looks like a warehouse. And what it was an assembly line to build cars.
Looks like
They would actually have someone working on the teams. They'd have a whole factory building parts. Those people would never see the racetrack. They just go to work, punch a clock at Hendricks, and work their machine, make their part, whatever fender or whatever, not fender, but fender mount or whatever the heck their little job is for the day. Start pumping out cars for a 5-car team.
All right.
Now that's kind of, I don't know. I felt like, and a lot of people in racing at that time felt that that was a little bit overboard and a little bit of an advantage, because then they have 5 cars going to a test session, this and that, and because of jealousy that one car was doing it that way, which I felt was a little bit over the edge, over the top, little bit of a disadvantage kind of against other teams, but you still have 4 tires going around a track with a 3,500-pound car. I mean, so what advantage is there when the rubber meets the road, they say? How much advantage is there? Well, I guess less chance for error. But every car is going to be different. I don't care. You can buy 3 chassis from the same maker and they're all going to act different. It's just the way it is. They all have their different weird flex points and quirks.
Oh, shoot.
But definitely. Let's see. Commercial. Feel a commercial. Caution's out.
Ricky Rudd and Brett Bodine
I guess
also
not.
there with Rusty Wild.
Three Bodine brothers nose to tail. 75, 7, and 11. Look.
Hey, Fly Guy, how you doing? Good morning, kid.
Yeah, the start-finish line, he had his nose to the inside of
Doing okay, I hope.
line, and now let's see if he has enough momentum build up in turn number 2 to make the pass down the backstretch. Gordon works to the inside of Earnhardt, and he passes him and takes the lead.
But I really think they should have just let NASCAR develop. I really, really feel bad that they did what they did with this somehow taking a factory that makes cars, and you know damn well NASCAR's getting a cut of that. Pay me and you get to build cars for me. You know how that works.
Gets picked up. He takes the lead.
Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt.
Pay to play.
Turn number 1, just enough to let Bobby Labonte, who was running third, dive below.
You went to Indy in person?
And let's see if Labonte will have it at the line where the 5 Winston Cup points are.
What was your opinion?
Indeed, he will.
As Mark Martin, his in-car camera, there he is, the 6th car. Loudly Ford followed closely by.
I know for me, it was the most incredible track I had ever gone to. It's 100% if someone said one track you got to choose that you could go to, and that would be Indy.
They got to go up the hill. Gordon gives him room.
Daytona would be second.
Bobby, you could just see Bobby Labonte sitting back there saying, these guys are going to do something that's going to allow me to take the lead.
Right? The next gen on the oval.
The question now is,
Oh my God, like I stood right there coming out Gasoline Alley. You come from the garage and you walk out Gasoline Alley, and
Hard, I really don't. And we see Mark.
you know, the pits go that way, pits go that way. The bricks go right down there. That was the part that just made me crazy. I had to touch them, and I did. But
So Mark's car not
the fans here behind you at the pit, on the pit road, and the fans here in the bleachers, and you're running right down the middle in between bleachers and fans yelling you right there, like with them. And that's the weirdest part, is like
side of Rudd and
most tracks you're so low, like the infield is so much lower than the bleachers, you've got to look up to see people in the bleachers. Like you don't feel the fans like you do at Indy, and at Indy it's like so much energy right down that path, you know.
what is the problem with Mark Martin? I'm sorry, Jack Arosi's fault.
I wonder what the neighborhood is like now. When you say in the neighborhood, that's true.
There is no problem. One of the situations that's developed with Mark Martin's car is it is not as quick on new tires as it is on old.
It used to be.
Before the last pit stop.
It used to be in the middle of nowhere.
15 or 20 laps in the pit window.
I remember driving around like we actually drove around to see the area and see the little tiny shops that made all these big Indy cars. Back in '95, it was very rural, you know, like
passing him,
a building in a field, and they say that's Foyt's shop, and you're like, wow, you know, it's like nothing was like big. It was all so antique-ish or nostalgic, original back then at Indy.
Right now, once again, he's trying.
That was one of my favorite parts, just driving around and seeing the IndyCar team race shops and stuff. I didn't know if I bet it's built up a lot. I'll have to look on Google Earth and see how much it's built up, but I bet it's built up.
In competition, but the 33 car of Robert Presley is behind the wall.
There's the inside the 6 car looking.
Yeah, there is a racing spirit for sure. They say, like, down here in Daytona, when you get near the track at any given time, it's the same way. You see
Flip over, just keep going, yeah.
lots of people, like, come to the gift shop and stuff like that and go on tours any time of the year, and it's pretty exciting. You get the racing vibe even when racing isn't going on. I bet Indy's the same way for sure.
Goes to the inside of Bobby Labonte like he was standing still. Wow. And look, Gordon.
Surrounded by houses, no kidding. So all those fields that used to surround it were
As Jeff led,
developed, I guess.
he has now, that's for sure.
It's kind of cool.
He led that one lap where he
As
got
long as they don't care. Like, they get all these houses there, and then they bitch on the sound. But
Earnhardt.
I hope they know that Indy's a little bigger than a neighborhood.
Jerry Punch can update us from the pits.
That's funny to believe. Gosh, I just remember nothing but farmland around it.
Is because of what I showed you a moment ago.
Little single roads. And,
Tighten the car up in the rear. It puts more.
yeah, I bet they developed all that farmland.
Silver said, if we get any more buildup in our right front tire, we're going to rip the tread right off of us. So Dale is going to have to drive a loose race car. Meanwhile, both.
But you'd think anyone that would build, like, what, or that would buy a house near the Indianapolis track would have to be a race fan. I mean,
Back upstairs.
I would.
Sure.
I'd build this close to the track. I mean,
There's the first 4 cars. Jeff Gordon pulled
I live
4 car lengths. Now Sterling Marlin has been able to get back by.
18 miles, I think it is, from Daytona.
I talked to Rustin.
But it takes a lot longer to get there unless I go the highway.
Changed 3 springs this morning trying to loosen his car.
Usually I like to be honest, go the beach road.
3 of the 4 springs.
Go out here,
Had a good
take a left and take a left.
weekend, but the handling went away.
Take a left, take a left, take a left. Goes right out to the ocean.
Running in.
Like right behind my back is the ocean, about a mile and a half as the crow flies. But I gotta like
And we'll be
go
back.
5 miles to either go around that way or take the bridge around this way. There's a drawbridge over that way or a high bridge over that way. That high bridge, the drawbridge is called High Bridge Road. But the high bridge is over here on Moody Boulevard. It must be on a commercial again. Boop, 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 boop.
You remember that there were problems with mixed emotions when Kelly Yarborough hung up his helmet. Well, as you watch him run his team
Yeah, it's.
high atop their pit car,
I'm really lucky, like,
share with them, guys.
where we are.
I was kidding him.
I rent a lot
If you're spending a Sunday down at the beach, he said when you
for this unit, and
is a Sunday at the beach.
7 times.
it's. I've been here 3 years.
Flag here at a
It's so close to Daytona.
that car down there on the inside of the racetrack. That's Robert Presley.
I like it because I'm just far enough away too.
Car moving into the inside of the racetrack. And
I'm in an area where there's a lot of state parks. The land to that way is a state park. The land behind us would be a state park.
Water coming out of the exhaust, the rear.
Actually, if you draw a line straight to the ocean, you'll go right through a birding area, a protected sanctuary.
himself and second place Bobby Labonte, and he is indeed.
Oh yeah, did you get any girlfriends' numbers there, Fly?
And 4th is Dale Earnhardt.
Are there cute officials in Indy?
In the later 500.
That's another thing I'm curious of. Do they all travel with NASCAR, the officials, or do they get a new person every track? I often wondered that. You'd think they'd have to be knowledgeable enough to travel with them.
Oh, yeah. You'll see why.
Okay. So, tonight, huh? Oh, good.
Of course you were.
How about Mark?
It's always good to be on your best behavior, even if you don't have your little friend with you.
Just want to see if you were checking. Just want to see if you were checking.
Paying attention.
Paying attention. That's it.
Looks like Mark's about to get the Big E.
The 87 that Jeff Gordon just put a lap on.
And that means that there are 23 cars now on the lead lap as Nemechek is in 24th.
The Burger King car and Nemechek, Dad, I don't think had anything to do with it at that point.
There
I mean, it was all his original guys that were there, but he moved on.
$1,200 bonus to Dale Earnhardt if he can win this race after having started from the pole. Now we're going to find out where Sterling Marlin is. There he is, the winner of the...
Kind of wish Dad would have stayed with Joe. I think Joe and him just had that special communication.
And now 7th.
My dad was always,
Ricky,
it seemed, looking for another Bouchard, another Ronnie.
how far he is
Because
behind.
Ronnie was like spectacular. He just got out of the sport early because he had made enough money, saw all his friends getting killed, and
Third Hendrick car.
so he stopped racing. A lot of the drivers stopped racing, especially after 2001,
See the distance between
that we hung around with, because we lost a lot in modifieds. I think once
Currently
we lost Richie, it took a lot of the modified guys wind out of their sails.
well, it's not out of the realm of
You
possibility.
don't know who Richie is. Richie Evans was like our
He was in 11
Earnhardt in the modifieds. He won everything for
laps.
years. In fact, the year he died, had already clinched the championship. He got killed at Martinsville in a practice race.
slow down a little bit. He's going to win.
And in our circle,
Gordon's
I got the word like way before TV got the word.
There's Kyle Petty.
He has now
I knew like within an hour,
22nd.
all the phones started ringing.
21 cars on the lead lap, and the
It's
next
a pretty big deal.
down will be Steve Grissom.
And there's Grissom right in front of Jeff Gordon. The black and yellow car is Grissom.
And just ahead of Grissom is Lake Speed in the number 9 machine. Here's
That'll work for Grissom in 2008, I think. I mean, in 1998.
The Jeff Gordon pit. Now they ran
I
50.
think the last my dad like raced like going on the circuit, I think was 2004.
The air pressure
I'm
built
thinking that it was about them.
temperature was
And
absolutely
it was only part-time.
to make matters worse.
He doesn't go to the track much anymore.
Fuel mileage. In fact, they will run 67 laps on this fuel stop.
And that spam car there will be the one I will score
Lap.
a year from about now in this.
A lot of problems possibly for the
I
car.
have to look up how soon I scored Lake. I'm thinking Darlington was my first
Teams down there where the radios are monitoring
race I scored
will be
for
dejected
Lake in 96
if they are.
in Darlington.
He has led the most laps now total in 1995. Jeff Gordon has. Here we go with Darrell Waltrip, John Andretti, and Dale Jarrett. That's 10th, 11th, and 12th. Jarrett moving to the high side of Andretti as Andretti comes
I like that they did a
side of Darrell.
rundown too.
Darrell Waltrip has a broken exhaust on his car. I saw him backfire up in turn 3 just a moment ago. I hope that some of that gas doesn't get in there and affect Darrell. Rusty Wallace right in front of these guys. This is all
Broken exhaust, hope the gas don't get in there. What did that mean?
as we watch this. I'll tell you, Steve Grissom has made a pit stop, changed tires.
He got a lap down, and not too long after that came in for a pit stop. Waltrip closing in on Rusty.
Unburned fuel coming out the exhaust pipe when you see the flame. Do you think that's what he meant? I would think it would be more like fumes.
About every time down there in 1 and 2.
Darrell lost control there for a second. He's went a little bit higher. And watch again, he'll go high up here.
Yep. But neither Andretti nor Jarrett can take advantage of his sliding up the racetrack. Now,
You can hear the exhaust though. Can you hear it?
This Jeff Gordon still our leader.
That weird little sound. Whoa.
Rig Mast goes by Morgan Shepherd, take a spot away.
that's the race from 15th position.
Look at that washer. What was that? That'd be worth what? $100,000 fine nowadays? Friggin' idiots.
Pit stops before too much longer.
Be too long. Here we go. Andretti on the inside of Darrell Waltrip, the 17 car. Can he make the move? Now he's a newcomer. He'll drive her down in there, but Darrell's going to give him some room. And Andretti takes that spot away. Here comes the 20, and Greg Sachs has joined in this race.
Yeah, this is a good 5-car battle here. And not too far behind all of this is
That's what I was thinking.
Jarrett moves to the inside now of Darrell Waltrip. And he's
Just a crush panel, to be honest. Like you get hit in the door. You got your door and you got your frame, and there's that little space there, and they usually put what they call a little
here at
crush panel or
leading Labonte and Martin.
something in there to keep fumes from going into the cockpit. And just a bump in the door. It's more so on like the late models and stuff. They can get pretty gassed up. like under where the running board would be. They have to fill in like between your frame, and they do the same like up the frame and across the where your firewall would be, or I don't know if what it's called in a regular car, but shit behind your dash is your firewall. No, firewall is basically a piece of metal, and it's got holes like for your steering shaft, your steering wheel, steering shaft, and different things. But they try to make it pretty vent proof, and like the side window vents and stuff actually suck heat from the bottom of the car out, stuff like that. From your cockpit, from the front. Somebody pitting. Ernie Irvin. It'll always be Davey to me in that car. Old Spice car is pitting. Joe's pitting. Little Larry Mack there. Doing a football stance behind the wall.
Pit stops are beginning to happen here in Atlanta. You can see Dale Jarrett has already completed his pit stop and rolls back.
Flying aces, these guys were called.
Comes to a stop. Mark Martin may be out of gas as he drops down off the banking in turn number 3 and heads for the pits.
He was slow down the back straightaway, and look at the chassis.
Yeah, the 3 and the 28. Super glad I got to meet them anyway.
Race car, they raised it, they bumped the spoiler up and made a significant chassis adjustment in the right rear. They were very concerned.
I don't know if it's on here. I'm gonna try to find a picture.
Waiting on Mark.
Somebody
Well, Mark Martin
posted a picture on my dad's.
called dead stick condition. The engine has run out of fuel. Now, a crew member reaches over the...
Somebody posted a picture on my dad's stuff.
They try to
See if I can find it.
thus far,
I saved it to my computer somewhere.
continue to change tires. They're anticipating making no major changes.
Ah, it's such a dick.
Chassis adjustment. But you can see that
Sorry.
they're going to have to push the car off because he cannot.
My computer is
Tries to fire. It's 2 pit stalls.
been hijacked by OneDrive,
Beginning to lose.
so I can't get in my pictures that way.
Down to you and Jeff Gordon's pit.
You think there is a teamwork at auto racing? Well, the Hendrick Motorsports teams are working together. They brought Gordon in and told Terry Labonte, stay out because we want you to lead a lap. Here is the DuPont Chevrolet. Jeff Gordon in. It should be a routine pit stop.
Try a different way. See if I can find that photo.
Pressure change. They will clean the windshield, change all 4 tires, fill it up with fuel, and he will be down and away. Meanwhile, his teammate, Terry Labonte, gets to lead a lap and pick up 5 bonus points. Teamwork does exist here in NASCAR.
Bobby Labonte
Not that, not that.
is Rusty Wallace. Let's go to Jackaroo in the 5 pit.
I could find it.
Points are
I
very
had it somewhere.
now. Team Hendrick goes to work on Terry Labonte's car. Checking with crew chief Gary Dehart, they anticipate again making no major changes in terms of chassis. Checking the tires as they come off, they seem to be perfectly okay. The same could not be said for Dale Jarrett's car, number 28. When he came in, just as we saw on some of the other front runners in the first series of pit stops, he too had a blistered right front. 21.1 seconds for Team Hendricks, and Bill Elliott is coming onto pit road.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is the one where they hit the entrance to pit wall.
They were trying to push the car to get it to refire. They were making some
Could be. Michael hit the barrels, maybe?
down as the car.
I haven't seen this race since 95. This is actually my first time looking back, too. I was trying to find where Dad was, and I saw that they had a car that didn't qualify. That's the one thing I did find. And I know this would have been my dad's last race with the Cunningham Racing
On John Andretti's car.
team.
Tim Brewer, veteran crew chief with so many victories with Junior Johnson. They
Stinking photos been hijacked by
having a little bit of a problem with the jack.
stupid thing.
Now they've taken on the fuel, and they're beginning to refire the car. He is
Bummer.
21.8. Here's Jerry Bunch.
I do have something cool to show y'all, though.
Darrell Waltrip, after a great qualifying effort, brings the Western Auto Chevrolet down. And Pete Peterson
This is from my sister's office.
DW looking to make possibly just a
Check that out.
as yet
Can you see them?
adjustment on the spoiler and no chassis adjustment whatsoever.
The one on the left is the Dentine Sam Bass print, and the one on the right is Detroit Gasket, the drawing my uncle did for the program at Michigan.
Just a little bit too loose as he
That was stuff I was trying to find before, but what I was trying to find was a picture of my dad and Dale, which y'all seen a gazillion times,
Stop for Darrell
but somebody had put it at the Times Square.
Kyle Petty, who
You know how at Times Square you see the building with the
Guys were going by Kyle so fast.
the
Understand that because he has worn time.
Megatron or whatever it is, the huge TV screen. And they put my dad and Dale
on Lake Speed.
and Robert Yates in that picture in Times Square. I thought it was cool, so I saved it,
More outstanding than this. They're
but I can't get to it because of my stinking computer. I got to reinstall OneDrive, take all my pictures off, put them back on a stick.
They spray the empty. They stumble over.
Oh, God, that's owie, owie, owie. Tripped over.
He'll love to tumble down pit road.
He fell from 3rd to 14th, though, in the serial scoring.
That was Steve Meal, I think, that changed the rear tires.
With Derek
Tripped over a hose or a
should be coming in for a pit stop
tire.
too much longer.
Here he comes. He must have heard you, Bob.
John Kernan will be there to call this pit.
Coors Light.
Kyle Petty pulls in as Barry Dodson is
Kyle Petty.
on as his
I forgot he did the Silver Bullet car.
Kyle fairly satisfied with the way the car had been handling, but they will make a minor chassis adjustment on the left rear. They'll put a little wedge into the car to try and tighten it up, and he got it just a tad bit loose. Now the left side tire is going on so far a fairly smooth pit stop. Jack is down 19, a little over 19 seconds for Kyle Petty.
Very good pit stop by that team, and with all of the pit stops having been made, it is Jeff Gordon now resuming the lead of this event with Terry Labonte second, Bobby Labonte third.
I know hitting the end of pit road is a very dangerous thing.
Jeff Gordon going by Michael Walker.
Something you don't want to do.
13th position
Not at speed, anyway.
on the lead lap.
And Jack Arute has information on how Mark Martin managed to run out of fuel.
Well, Benny Parsons, I have a question for you. Have you ever been so focused in a race car that you don't hear what your crew chief is telling you on the radio? That's what happened to Mark Martin. For 3 consecutive laps, Steve Meal radioed in, it's time to pit, it's time to pit. The car was running so good, Martin's focus was so intent on trying to go to the front, and he didn't hear it.
He probably heard him. He just didn't understand that it was fuel that was the problem and not the fact that other cars were pitting.
In any case, it has cost Mark Martin dearly.
I moved my camera when I wasn't online, so
Car on the lead laps.
it's a little off center.
9 laps completed. Jeff Gordon continues to lead here on a beautiful day at Atlanta Motor Speedway. ABC's coverage continues in a moment. Down pit road, although keeping it under the speed limit. Gaining speed now as he enters the apron of the track, and Jeff Bodine gets service completed on his car.
And Jeff
I'll work for his team in '97. He's actually a really nice guy. I was
Third position.
pleasantly surprised
scheduled pit stop
because he was our competitor for years in modifieds and,
and an unscheduled stop of hit.
you know, the rivalry and all.
Another
He
lap.
also was
Jeff Gordon.
a teammate and a competitor.
Never seen Rusty Walson. Right behind Rusty is Jeff Gordon.
So Rusty and
Okay, good luck on your appointment, Pops.
You know, everyone back in the winter was talking about how hard
I
they
need to do teledocs because
were working. You know, back around Christmas, they were talking about them working 7 days.
I just need to because it'll make me actually go to the appointment.
Working
'Cause I'm awful about doctors. I'm sick of going there and finding shit wrong.
he has his 7.5 second
Every
lead,
time they take my blood, it says something wrong.
almost a little over 20-second lead on the 5th place car. So Jeff Gordon is indeed making a...
But it's my fault. They got a whole stack of medicine over there I'm supposed to take to make my blood right.
Here's one of them.
And I don't.
And Dale Jarrett.
This is a race for 7th place.
Such an ass.
And the 21 car also in the mix. Oregon Shepherd. That's 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. The 40 car is 10th.
Hate taking pills. They get stuck in my throat.
And all they got to do is look in the rear.
And the kind I can't chew.
Something that they
I haven't taken it yet today either.
The leader of the race.
One's from my thyroid and one's from my head. Another one's to make me feel better. Another one's vitamin D, which I didn't take. Another one's my supplement, which I didn't take.
Ernie Irvin behind the wheel won this race last year. Now Dale Jarrett is in command of that car. While
But BRB, I gotta grab some more drink.
the injury suffered at Michigan last year. Jeff Bodine, meanwhile, comes back in. John?
He was in the first time because he felt the vibration, and they found out the right front tire was a little bit low. They put 4 new tires on, went back out, and the vibration continued. So Bodine decided to pull it into the pits. As you look out on the racetrack, Jeff Gordon trying to put a lap on Rusty Wallace. Paul Andrews and the crew looking over Jeff Bodine's car. Remember last fall, Jeff Bodine ran really well here. They had a similar problem to this, feeling the vibration. They finally found the problem in the front suspension. But right now, Paul Andrews, Danny Glad, and the rest of the crew are checking under the car to see exactly what the problem might be, but they still haven't found it.
And with Jeff Gordon putting a lap on Rusty Wallace, we now have 9 cars on the lead lap. And Benny, I think if you were to take a poll in the garage area before this race started, most people would have said, yep, it's going to be a runaway in this event today, but they would have said Earnhardt was going to run away with it and not Jeff Gordon.
Well, I think that's true, although most of it did say that the 24 car was running awfully well. Understatement.
Yes, he is. Earnhardt, meanwhile, continues to run in 4th position behind the 2 Levantis, Terry and Bobby. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt is trying to hold on to 4th position, but Sterling Marlin is right behind.
Looks almost like the Daytona 500 on reversed.
Well, all 5 of the top positions here are held by Chevrolets, and they have 7 of the top 10 positions at this point in the event. Only 3 Fords in the top 10.
And if you folks have heard the 4 car go by on some of our audio, you'll notice that it doesn't have that strange sound he had in Daytona. They brought a conventional exhaust system this week on the 4 car.
It had almost an IndyCar sound at Daytona, but now it sounds more like a conventional stock car.
Joe, you heard him go by, and just like everyone else.
He had the headers, what, about 140 degrees on that 4 car?
Whatever that means.
Yeah, it made it sound different. That's all I know. Marlin can close in on Earnhardt in the corners, but Dale seems to be able to hold his own on the straightaways.
On a crash off the second corner, heavy crash. Jeremy Mayfield has made some heavy contact with the front of his car.
There's the in-car camera, which...
and some more cars in the crash. Several other cars in the crash.
like Jeff Purvis is involved.
Michael Waltrip also involved.
Mayfield was making his way slowly down the backstretch when cars crashed behind him.
Well, I think that they were trying to race the leader back to the caution flag and might have... Well, I won't speculate.
Yeah,
I was watching the monitor.
Maybe we will have a replay here to show us what happened, but I did not see exactly what occurred back there. In any case, there is heavy damage to the 98 car of Jeremy Mayfield. This is the Cale Yarborough car. You can see some yellow sheet metal up on the racetrack. That's from Michael Waltrip's car, who was also involved. That's from the in-car camera on Jeremy Mayfield looking down the back.
Oh crap, what I missed.
Safety vehicles arrive at the car. Jeff Purvis was involved. He apparently is okay. He has the helmet off.
I liked Phoenix Racing.
Netting down and looks like he'll be climbing out of the car. There he is. So Purvis is okay. Let's hope that Jeremy Mayfield is. We'll show you the start of the crash from the speed shot. It may be a little difficult to see, but up in turn number
Oh, an MRI.
it occurs.
Jeremy,
My son needs one of them
correct.
probably pretty soon,
The
too.
wall head on. And there we'll see Mark Martin go by. Watch as Mark and the 75 car go by. They slow. Now both those cars were able to go by. Now Jeremy Mayfield is going down the straightaway, and all of a sudden, for some reason, the car goes back across the racetrack right in front of Michael.
Holy crap.
44 car.
Arca brake much?
It's like he knocked off the steering linkage in the car and could not steer it.
That's spotter error right there.
Racetrack.
Took a heavy shot in the back end of the car. However, we are glad
It happens.
Mayfield is out of the car and walking around. Here it is from another angle. There's both Waltrip and Purvis plowing into Mayfield's car and lifting it off the ground.
And we can see all the damage to the Pennzoil Pontiac and to the right rear of Mayfield's car. There's what's
Right
left
rear.
of the back end.
Yeah. No fire, though, from the
Car wasn't too bad until they
Again,
hit
Mayfield
him.
is out walking around. We have not seen Michael Waltrip. We know that Purvis is okay.
They raced to the yellow back then.
Those on the lead lap down to the pits. Here's Jack.
But what good did that do?
Second place car, Terry Labonte. Gary Dehart says the biggest difference between he and his teammate Jeff Gordon, who was running out front, is the fact that the leader can pick through traffic a little bit easier. Let's check in with Jerry Bunch.
They have already changed right side tires on Jeff Gordon's car. No change, no chassis adjustment, no air pressure adjustment. He is down and away. And likewise, just behind him, here is Bobby Labonte trying to beat Terry Labonte out of the pit road as Dale Earnhardt still gets some work done on his Goodrich Chevrolet. They were going to take some wedge out. His car had gotten a little bit too tight during that last run. Bob?
Doesn't surprise me because they really cranked on that 3-car during the last pit stop, Benny, more than I think I've ever seen them do on that team.
It's been a long time since radial tires. It's been 3 or 4 years since I've seen that huge of an adjustment on a car. You're right, Bob, during a pit stop.
Jeremy Mayfield's car being hauled away on the rollback. Just look at the damage to that car. The in-car camera, though, still works.
Yeah. And you can see that they can't get the car all the way back on the record.
Here's a replay from the in-car.
He comes off the corner, and we can see the car starting to get...
It's already breaking loose. Overcorrect.
It goes head on in the wall. And the hood almost leaves.
A little bit of a problem.
And he's going back across the racetrack. Now the car is going to get going straight.
Brakes. Drive. Can't drive. There's nothing to drive.
Which I don't really know why. It goes back across the racetrack. And I wish we had some in-car sound.
He has nowhere to way to turn. He has no front tires attached to the wheel.
That was Todd Bodine going by, several others going by. It's just about to happen here.
He has no brakes.
Went by.
He's gonna get his
there it was.
stuff jacked up.
Waltrip and Purvis both plowing into the back of Jeremy Mayfield. But he's okay, and the leaders have completed their pit stops. Now others do. We'll take a break right here from our live coverage of the Purolator 500.
Jeremy's team manager lived in the apartment door next door to us at that time.
Is Michael okay?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Is Michael okay? That we sure. How are you doing?
Hear those stupid whistles. It's all that background noise. That was weird.
Lap lead. Well, Jeff Gordon
Gordon, of course, has that, followed by Earnhardt, who was the pole sitter and led in the early going. Bobby Labonte, Terry Labonte, Darrell Waltrip, all picking up some time at the lead of the field, as well as Kyle Petty. This race actually began with a yellow. Mike Wallace got into the wall right on the green flag, being pushed from behind. As we look at the cars officially out of the race now, they came back to green flag on the 7th lap, and it was only about 5 laps later that Steve Kinzer and Brett Bodine got together, and that took several cars down to the infield, though most got restarted and back into competition. Then on the 56th lap, at an ideal time for a caution period once again because of debris, and everybody headed for the pits. Mark Martin on that stop, driving the Ford, of course, moved up 1 position and was with the leaders of the race. But then on lap 63, Jeff Gordon took back over. And he has been the dominant power ever since then, until this caution, the 4th of the day, on the 149th lap, when Jeremy Mayfield got into the wall. So that brings us to the current situation on lap 167. Without question, Jeff Gordon is the man to watch here, and the battle between the Fords and Chevrolet is currently being dominated by Chevrolet.
Right now on top of a Ford driven by Mark Martin, who has lost 2 laps now and is back in 20th position.
Mark Martin ran out of fuel on his first, and look at their 3 abreast coming off the corners. Darrell Waltrip trying to get on the inside.
Oops, sorry.
And remember, the 7-2, Waltrip and Wallace are battling for position. They're both a lap down, battling for position.
I should have moved that to the other screen.
Cars are a lap in front of Mark Martin.
When I'm trying to look at my files, ooh, maybe I've got another one. Maybe. Oh, I found a way to get in without going to OneDrive. There we go.
Lets the car drift up just a tick, and Morgan tries to get on the inside, just can't do it. So right in front of them is Darrell Waltrip and Rusty Wallace. We see Mark Martin's been able to get by Rusty.
Not that one.
10th spot. Waltrip and Wallace. Here comes Schrader.
As these guys go in the 3rd corner, later in the day, that might be a problem. As the sun starts to set, it will set down in turn 3 in these drivers' eyes.
Here's Jerry Punch with report from pit road.
Well, Benny, you're reading the minds of some of these drivers down here. We're halfway through, and the glare is becoming so
Bite me.
in turn 3, so much so that NASCAR has now come to the lead pit,
Can't open my own pictures. OneDrive ate them.
telling the crew chiefs you can now begin.
I took the OneDrive app off the TV off my computer,
Glare problem entering turn 3. They have to be given
because it was sending my pictures to everything, and I didn't want it to do that. It was syncing and not syncing. And
Bob.
All right, and a battle for position on the racetrack between Russ.
just want my Google Photos back.
And this would be for 6th position.
Morgan Jeffrey was able to get by Schrader. He's now in the...
He's 6th. This is a battle for 7th. Yeah. And now we see Terry Labonte beginning to close in on Jeff Gordon for the lead.
That's the closest anybody's been to Jeff Gordon all day.
It's still a few car lengths, but Terry Labonte may be making a race out of this. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
I used to sell Eater flagpoles. I used to work for a company that was in Cornelius, North Carolina for about 4 years. Supplied the hotel industry, so flagpoles was one of the things we bought for hotels. Flags and flagpoles.
Terry's brother Bobby running back in 3rd position. Both of these drivers have already won a race in 1995. They look to be the favorites to record a 2nd one, possibly to become the first 2-time winner in 1995. Look at this. Jeff has a 1.3-second lead on Terry and 3.1 on Bobby, and 6.3 and 7.3 on Earnhardt and Marlin, running back and 4th and 5th.
And everyone thought that Dale Earnhardt would be the car to beat today.
Except for the very early going, Benny. He really hasn't been much of a threat, but the race isn't over yet.
And we saw about 100 laps ago when he made that pit stop, the huge chassis adjustment. There's the 3rd place car, Bob. Now we'll go back to Dale Earnhardt in fourth. And we see Mark Martin has been able to pass both he and Sterling Marlin, but once again, Mark is a couple of laps down in 20th spot.
Fourth and fifth there, Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin. Now here is Morgan Shepherd.
Oh, Mark went down a lap for that bad pit stop.
Report on this
One where Steve Meal fell.
It appears that the Ford's host may be pinned on the Wood brothers right now. They're the front-running Thunderbird in the 6th position, and they're the all-time leaders for victories here in Atlanta with 9. I was talking to Eddie Wood just a moment ago. They've been making major adjustments on the car. It seems to be helping the cars running better and better. But that wasn't what he was really excited about. It looks like Jeff Burton, though, has blown an engine out on the track and should be headed back in. But getting back to Eddie Wood, he said he wasn't really excited that the car was running better.
Stavola brothers right there.
He said, hey, we even passed 2 Chevys out there.
They're out in
every little bit helps.
Harrisburg,
Jeff Burton was running
just behind the track.
2 laps down, but has fallen off the pace as we documented. There is
I
Morgan.
had been there too. I think Gil Martin worked there when I went there
The lead lap.
for a job interview. I was doing great till they found out my dad was in racing.
We saw it slow a moment ago. He did
They
make
get all spooky about stealing secrets.
the 8 car we saw smoking just a moment ago. He still is on the racetrack. He did.
So that would hurt me if I wasn't working for my dad's team.
And Dale Jarrett, both these cars in the lead lap.
Once you
Dale Jarrett
get with the really big teams, though, they didn't give a shit.
lead lap.
Yep, this is the battle.
Like with Melling, they didn't care if my dad was a race driver. They were friends with him. I mean, a car builder. They were friends. Venturinis. All of them. We were out of the Venturini shop.
The 11th position.
Jeff, he knew my dad forever, so he didn't care.
A lap down. Now we have a battle for the 4th position as Marlin goes to the inside of Dale Earnhardt and passes him, picks up 4th.
Tell you what, Dale Earnhardt's not going to sit on the pole anymore. He qualified first. You know, this year he's been qualified at Rockingham and Richmond. He qualified back in the 20s and ran up front all day long. Here he qualifies on the pole, and Jeff Gordon's the fastest car. So Earnhardt needs to change his strategy, go back to qualifying about 25th.
You know, the last time Dale Earnhardt sat in the front position, he won the race. That was in 1990, but he didn't earn that starting position. Time trials were rained out that year, and he started because of points. The last driver to win from the pole position was Buddy Baker in 1979.
Dale Jarrett gets his car handling just a little bit better as the day goes on, trying to get alongside of. There's Ernie Irvin.
He was the honorary starter of the race, waved the green flag.
Oh, this is when Ernie had gotten hurt.
Driven by
He was still recovering from the year before.
8th spot from Ken Schrader.
What did they just say?
Does make the pass.
Yep.
Is that Dale Jarrett?
For the 4th position as Marlin goes to the inside of Dale Earnhardt and passes him, picks up 4th.
Tell you what, Dale Earnhardt's not going to sit on the pole anymore. He qualified first. You know, this year he's been qualified at Rockingham and Richmond. He qualified back in the 20s and ran up front all day long. Here
I might have backed up a little too far.
Jeff Gordon's the fastest car, so Earnhardt needs to change his strategy, go back to qualifying about 25th.
You know, the last time Dale Earnhardt sat in the front position, he won the race. That was in 1990, but he didn't earn that starting position. Time trials were rained out that year, and he started because of points. The last driver to win from the pole position was Buddy Baker in 1979.
Dale Jarrett gets his car
Okay, it is Dale Jarrett. Yep.
trying to get alongside of.
Because I see Ernie there, I'm like, wait a minute.
Starter of the race,
But yeah, he was recovering from getting his bell rung. He still had double vision.
being driven by Dale Jarrett, now is looking to pick up 8th spot from Ken Schrader.
And he does make the pass.
Yep. The A car of Jeff Burton is on pit road with its hood up as they work on it. John, what are they doing?
Bob, they're having a problem. The motor, I said just a few moments ago, it looked like he had blown up. Well, apparently they've got a problem with one of the oil lines or the oil tank around that area. Back in the oil tank.
The leak, line blue. It looks like a blown motor sometimes.
They're going to change some lines also underneath the hood. There was a lot of smoke from the header pipes when he
Is Gil Martin
dissipated. So apparently he was leaking some oil from the car somewhere along the line.
Don't see Gil.
Continues to lose laps and lose positions. Now back to 28.
Could have been one of them guys bent in. I wouldn't know until he pulled his head out of there.
By Davy Jones. And we see that Gordon is stretching out the interval once again, Benny.
Yes, what it was, I think it was 3.4, 1.3, I'm sorry, the last time we saw the interval. Now it's 3.4, so he's gained a couple of seconds on Terry Labonte.
And again, running very consistent laps. They only vary 0.3 of a second. Now going to the outside and putting another lap on Kyle Petty. Kyle is now 2 laps down in 18. Jerry is down in the Rick Hendrick pits. Boy, what a great day they're having, Jerry.
Exactly, Bob. If it isn't tough enough to be a car owner for one car in Winston Cup, how about the guy behind me, Rick Hendrick, who owns 3 cars, all 3 in the top 9. In fact, our leader, Jeff Gordon, second place car, Terry Labonte, and 9th place car, Kenny Schrader. Let's find out what's going through Hendrick's mind here. Rick, partner second. Hey, you got 2 cars running 1 and 2. Now, what goes through your mind when you see Terry Labonte beginning to move in a little bit on Jeff Gordon?
You know, I want to see him race, Jerry, but you don't want to see anything happen. In Martinsville, we were running 1-2. It took them 2 of them out. So just want them to run hard and stay apart. I don't make any difference who's in front of each other. Just don't want any friction between the 2 cars.
Damn right. Stay apart. Look at, he's got Wayfarers on.
Gordon won at Rockingham.
Hendrick does.
Richmond.
Ray-Ban Wayfarers.
By all rights.
I am looking so bad for a pair of them.
Darlington is really his track. You know, it's a long ways to go today.
The original, you know.
Up at Darlington, he's due. We want to see him win a race.
Rick, we understand the 5 car may be slowing slightly. Have you heard anything on your radios?
I'm looking right now at 10 pairs of sunglasses that I have. I'll tell you what, you wear sunglasses in Florida more than you wear shoes. I mean, you absolutely can't go outside without sunglasses. It'll fry your eyeballs.
Labonte radioed into the Hendrick chief mechanic, Gary Dehart, that the car is beginning to get very, very loose. Rather than get the friction that Hendrick was talking about, he's backed off the throttle just a bit.
But still runs second. Hendrick car.
More Wayfarers.
2nd and 9th. There is Terry Labonte, who is 2nd to Jeff Gordon, who continues to lead the Purolator 500 live from Atlanta Motor Speedway.
I might have Wayfarers on actually in that picture to the left. Hard to say.
What are we, about 10 laps from a stop?
I don't know.
Another set of pit stops.
Yeah. Notice that this comes up about 30 laps into a tire run. See if it does it again.
What does? Okay, thank you.
Lap speeds.
Oh, yeah?
I'll keep track of it. I'll let you know if it does.
Okay. So what else we got here?
Early going, they were down at 162. The cars lighten up. They really can.
That picture of the top left, those could be Wayfarers. Hard to tell.
Engine light. Yep.
Hard to say.
Driver makes a pit stop.
Sure, they're Ray-Bans. We all had them then.
Poor Mark Martin's flying.
Is he?
Yeah.
Not helping, though, is it?
See how much he's gained on the 18s.
Yeah.
I mean, but still 2 laps down.
Yep.
All the rest of Ford drivers are saying, Mark, slow down. You know what I mean?
I could move my mic a little bit. Have it come on this angle. It might be better. Ah, it works. It works. It works. I know it's all right here in front of me. I have to keep going side to side to see the TV monitor or whatever. Commercials.
100 is pit is down toward turn number 1.
Okay, pit stops are starting again. These are my favorite parts anyway.
Here's Jerry Punch with Ricky Rudd.
We would put our tire, see how the tires up on the wall?
Ricky Rudd's car that came off that was nearly
For the guy to grab, right?
a right front tire, and that's why he slowed. He was in a pit.
You'd watch when everyone down the pit road would start putting tires up.
Changed all 4 tires. He is a
Some were fooling you, some weren't. You know how kind of like the drivers dodged the pit lane?
Half turn on car number 20.
The crews play the little games too.
Second place car that has a serious chassis problems being loose.
They get up, stand up on the wall like they're going to pit,
Mike Slattery
and then step off.
that Benny Parsons was talking about is stuck it in the back, and now he's making 1 full, 2, actually a turn and a half. Let's check in.
Slugger Labby on the front wheel, I bet. Pulled away too soon.
going on Earnhardt's car. Once again, they are going to try to take some wedge out. Earnhardt said the car is getting tighter and tighter and harder to turn coming off the corner. Left side tires are on, and he is down and away as Terry Labonte now comes down pit road, or Bobby Labonte, I should say, the Interstate Battery Chevrolet, and likewise, they will put a little bit of tape on the windshield. They're cleaning the windshield right now, changing right side tires. They bumped the spoiler just slightly, and caught on the con.
I was looking at their gas man. I know that Joe Nemechek's gas man will end up going to that team maybe next year or the year after.
Dick Trickle's car. He's sitting there.
I definitely know Brian Larson was gas man for Tony Stewart for a while. He was one of our OG group.
The Jackman is telling him,
Oh, that sucks.
let's lift this car up and try to get
We need more people than that.
Now the DuPont crew, Ray Evernham, says, get this car out of here. I want to pit. Here my car comes right now. Move.
Oh my God.
Jeff Gordon is going to be pitting right beside it, Jerry.
And actually, NASCAR would allow some adjustment because of the car in the middle of pit road. Ray Evernham felt helpless because he could not get the Dick Trickle Ford to move. Meanwhile, they have already changed the right side tires on the car number 24. Left side tires go up. They clean the windshield. They spray the windshield. It's full of fuel.
They got the jack under it now.
And Dick Trickle's car still sits in the middle of pit road, and now they borrow an air wrench from the Gordon crew and try to put a tire on the left front.
They got to borrow a different team's air wrench because it's not going to reach from their own pit.
Schrader's Monte Carlo. Schrader.
That's a million different ways of a find this day and age.
Morgan Shepherd, the leading Ford Thunderbird, who had been running in 6th before this sequence of pit stops started, pulls in. Lynn, Eddie Wood go to work along with the rest of the crew. It'll be a 4-tire change. They'll also, Benny Parsons talking about the Panhard bar. They will make an adjustment with that, go up at least a round on that, trying to loosen the car up. As you see, Lynn Wood also making the chassis adjustment there in that right rear. Morgan Shepherd gunning the engine. It looks like a
Wood Brothers, Bud Moore, these are all people that went by the wayside. Well, Wood Brothers still in there.
Pit stops that we saw
Harrison Burton.
from the Morgan Shepherd crew. But out on the racetrack, it is still Jeff Gordon's race. Gordon has completed his pit stop and finds himself back out into the
I
lead.
think the 71 was Marcus.
Be back with more of our live ABC coverage of the Purolator 500.
I didn't have a horse in the race in this one. Like I said, Kenny didn't qualify.
Dale Earnhardt holding down 4th position at the moment.
Earnhardt was our pole sitter here this
The next race, I think, would be Darlington.
Now bonus money.
I think my dad was helping
Car.
Dylan in Busch and Cup. He was with Moroso the following race after this.
Yeah.
now.
You can see what we referred to a little bit earlier, the glare that the drivers encounter in turn 3 this time of year here in Atlanta.
Dick Trickle driving this one this week. Maybe he was this season. I seem to remember Lake driving it a little bit, but he's in his spam car now, which is Harry Melling, which is the original owner that was with Bill Elliott back in the 9 Coors days, $1 Million Bill team. Super nice man, Harry is. Harry Melling
The first 3 races
was. His son Mark was mostly in charge when I was around.
Fifth place car of Sterling Marlin.
Daytona 500 winner for the second year in a row.
I saw Melling racing on a drag
And there's Ricky Craig.
drag strip car lately. I don't know.
So far.
I saw it watching
In this race at the moment.
Top Fuel stuff. I saw Melling somewhere. So I wonder if they got a little bit of hands in the drag racing right now.
Opinion, folks, they have a point system in this.
There's Bill Elliott. Back home again.
Oh yeah, that would red flag a race.
Atlanta. But things again not.
And NASCAR would see dollar signs. Who can we find and get some cash off of?
Rusty Wallace right now is in 10th place. He's a lap down.
All that fine money supposedly goes to NASCAR charities so they can write it off.
Morgan Shepherd is on the lead lap. He's in 6th position, driving for the Wood Brothers.
The fines back in the day used to go into a big pool and all the teams split it at the end of the season, which I felt made it more fair
Turn 2.
rather than a money-making racket.
Back straight away. That's Rusty Wallace right in front of him. Now just keep track of Rusty Wallace, folks, as Morgan drives down in turn 3 into a setting sun.
And just think how business-wise NASCAR can just write off those fines.
On the windshield there, doesn't he?
That is tape right underneath the
That
rearview
helps.
mirror.
Yeah.
They've certainly improved the business model for their own pocketbook for sure.
John Andretti, Kmart Little Caesars car. Of Credibles Haas, Tim Brewer, the crew chief.
He had his best Winston Cup finish last week at 10th at Richmond. He's 15th today, 2 laps down. And right
Make the teams pay to play on the charters. They're not football teams, man. It's so stupid.
The car is back on the racetrack and he's still running well.
It's my thought on charters.
on the lead lap. That's Ken Schrader.
Biggest money-making grift I've ever heard of.
Behind him is the 28 car of Dale Jarrett, and he is in 8th position. So that's really the closest battle for position that we have on the track at the moment.
Next car behind these two is the Family Channel car of
The charters means that the team's got to pay millions of dollars to have their number, to own the number, to be guaranteed that they race each week.
We've seen the 37 already. It's the 29.
I don't know.
Steve Grissom. 2 laps down in 16th place.
So that means you got to find a sponsor or a team that can afford millions of dollars before they ever even hit the track. It's
Will be the number 11 car of
not what racing was in my day. In my day, you take what you can run, and you put all your parts together, and you make the fastest car, and you beat everyone, and then you have pride.
Actually, he didn't spin or have
Nowadays, I don't know.
contact with Steve.
You just beat whoever can pay the most.
He continued on.
So how a lot of rides
By him.
obtained even nowadays in the lower ranks. ARCA.
will make him 5 laps down.
The only car I think we haven't seen is,
ARCA, truck, Bush.
and he is slow. Ooh!
All the teams want to know, what can you give me? Because NASCAR's going to take it out your backside.
Let's see. Ted is, where is he? 22nd, 4 laps down.
Well, there's another car we didn't see. Kyle Petty, the Coors Light car. Kyle is currently 17th, 3 laps down. And his father's car, we don't think we've seen. Bobby Hamilton, the STP car.
See, that's the cool stuff. The son and the father racing together.
11th position, just 2 laps down.
Corbin's just running too fast.
It was so cool back then.
And just in the length of time that we have been doing our pan backs here, we've seen Jeff a couple of times. There's Jeff Bodine.
The drivers had a different attitude too. They wanted to put on a good show, and they were fierce competitors and raced hard.
Now, those are all the cars that are on the racetrack. And there is Jeff Gordon. How much of a lead does he have? 13.
The minute they started
Terry Labonte.
bitching about
Sterling Marlin in
Ford
21.
versus Chevy, and they got the advantage, and no, they got the advantage, and
1995. We'll be right back.
I don't know, maybe they did it to themselves. Ended up with a next-gen piece of crap.
Where are you going?
All for the whining.
Ford Chevy recap. All right.
Commercial again.
First 5 cars are Chevys.
Yeah. Morgan's Ford Hope, right?
Cost me $268 a month for the car charge, for the car payment. He says nowadays it costs me $500 a month just for my cellular phone bill. He says, my, how much and how great things have changed for me in just 5 short years.
Yes, indeed. You know, the other thing that's interesting, I did a little checking, and 15 of the 42 drivers that started today's race have 3 years or less experience in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, including, of course, Bobby Labonte. There are 5 rookies that started the race. There are 3 drivers that are in their 3rd full year of NASCAR Winston Cup competition, and there are 7 that are in just their 2nd year of NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Well, a lot of improvements have been made here at Atlanta Motor Speedway since we've been coming here. Bruton Smith, the owner of this facility, has built some gorgeous condominiums that tower over a grandstand in turn number 2. Now, Bruton Smith has also made a major announcement here in the last few days. Texas Motor Speedway is going to be built. These are some artist renderings of the facility, which will be built down in the area of Dallas-Fort Worth, and it should give the NASCAR Winston Cup Series another track.
Does it look like Charlotte or not? Look at that roval in the middle, same damn thing.
The new Texas World.
Save money.
Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Bruton Smith is Marcus Smith's father. Marcus Smith is Z-Max.
Special guest with us, Mr. O. Bruton.
He's no longer alive.
Speedway Motorsports Incorporated.
Marcus is running everything.
Atlanta Motor Speedway.
And his wife.
A lot of excitement. 10 days ago, you announced the official site for your new racetrack, patterned after Charlotte. It'll be just north of Fort Worth. Now, our first question is, what's the timetable? When will you begin and when will you have it finished?
He was not a well-liked person, to be honest.
The groundbreaking ceremony,
And the dirty trick, this is right before he pulled the dirty trick with Wilkesboro and bought it and shut it down to rot.
we're working toward that now, Jerry, and
His son is in charge of
groundbreaking. So that's
the Wilkesboro revival. Remember, Dale Jr. had done all the weed whacking and all of that stuff and tree cutting and cleaning it up just to scan it. But there was a grant from the state of a couple $1 million,
North Texas, or all of
several $1 million,
what I'm building there. I can assure you the whole South
to revive Wilkesboro.
putting everything we've learned.
And of course, Marcus Smith got that money to revive Wilkesboro. They revived it. They ran a few races, and remember, he was talking right after Lawson won that he was going to shut it all down.
Appreciate that.
And we said, "Oh hell no!" Behind the scenes, we were like, "Oh hell no!
They're chairman of the board.
You're not shutting it down."
Back to you.
He realized
The facility
I can make money off of it, even though it's a little track,
would go, but will it then?
by running the All-Star race, which is fine.
Doesn't have a date in his pocket yet.
But I think they need to run the Busch Clash at Daytona. I've said that before. Give us back our speed weeks,
Cup circuit that wants to drop.
because it's really important for that good basic start into the race season
One of those
with a good old big speed
I
weeks.
think he wants to explore, so
And then move.
it's hard to say exactly what
I know they want the Clash at
to you.
wherever, Coliseum, wherever. We'll call it another
Racetrack contention.
All-Star race.
Key on something.
Just add a race, have 2 All-Star races, one at a short track, one at a big super speedway.
You mentioned Bob Jenkins.
And give us back our damn Clash
Substantial
in
change
February.
here with the new condom,
And have it be
VIP
pole
and everything. Same thing.
contenders.
They do.
The people who get the pole get in the race, or past champion, and the Busch
That is a
champion.
market for
That was how they used
down
to do
there
it.
in that area, not only for the stock cars, but I'm sure the Indy
And they,
will
it,
also like it.
it's just something about the Clash that weekend down here in Daytona. Speed Weeks is nothing now. It's just another race. It's
100,000-person crowd.
people don't even come down here for the 2-week vacation anymore.
From Morgan Shepherd's car, the leader.
They come down for a week or a few days. We've got New Smyrna runs 9 days.
And again, it's not so much if as when.
Got Volusia over here that could run a bunch of events the same 2 weeks.
So we know Ford on the lead lap.
All because
John Kernan with more.
the France family wants to have another race with being the Clash all by itself in some other venue to make a whole, like, double their money instead of the same money they get at Daytona.
Morgan having to fight the cars. We see Jeff Gordon go by Darren Cope now.
Just make it an all-star race and give us back our Clash.
These guys
It's simple.
want to see that yellow flag.
Make the all-star race on a Wednesday. Make it coordinate with something in the area. Run in Charlotte, make the all-star race at Wilkesboro. Ain't that far to go another hour.
Most recently,
But,
Bobby Allison
you know,
was a lap over Dave.
I'd rather put it out in L.A. or
in the
who the hell knows where. Just to get another date in their fancy little tracks.
He's on the inside of Morgan, going down towards turn 1. Well, Morgan is trying his best to hold
If we
it.
get too far away from the roots, we could lose the sport, is what I'm saying. It won't be special anymore.
Oh, don't pull up now.
Just my opinion. I mean, after watching the whole growth in NASCAR, I didn't see the beach. I was too young for the beach. I was born in 61.
Our Chevy.
We started running this Daytona at 1960, I think. 59-60.
They thought they had a great shot to keep up with the Monte Carlos,
But I saw the people that did race on the beach.
they continue to make
Race
adjustments on the right rear.
on the
All four
asphalt.
going in. But right now for Mark Martin, it's an emotional roller coaster and one where he's
I
out
met Tim Flock.
at the present time.
Steve Grissom has just completed service on
I
his
even had his autograph on a shirt. I gave it to one of the bars in North Carolina.
pit
And
area.
I think about it after. I gave it to someone who has no give a shit at all about NASCAR.
See the sign being hung out
I
for
said, do you realize what this is?
John Kernan.
Oh, okay, thank you. Threw it under the counter. I wanted him to put it on the wall at the bar. It had Don Miller's autograph,
Brought it here.
North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame t-shirt with Tim Flock's signature on it.
He got into the race and they
The bar owner was like too dumb to know what it was.
Well, John Kernan, Dale Jarrett, who used to drive a Chevrolet, now at the wheel of the Thunderbird, he takes on 4 tires, makes a chassis adjustment. They will make their final pit stop of the day. You know, earlier in the week, Jarrett said if he knew then what he knew now.
If anyone from Love Valley is listening, that shirt's shoved under the bar at Shelby's place.
18.7.
Probably still sitting there. Probably used for a dirt rag,
Rusty Wallace coming in the pits.
grease rag or something.
Jackaroo.
1 year ago, this was the fastest pit crew you'd ever see week in and week out. But a change on pit stops, not allowing men to flip-flop back and forth across the wall, has made everything a little bit different here on pit road. For Rusty Wallace, 4 tires, the final gallons of fuel being added, and he is off and away in 18.6 seconds.
I've got so many souvenirs in the day, you know, like racing memorabilia and all the merch and everything.
These cars are stopping
And
just a little.
rather than lug it around, I give it away.
You want to get on the racetrack with those fresh tires and try to make up as much ground on the leader, Jeff Gordon, as much as they can, hoping that they'll get a caution flag about 5 or 6 laps from now.
Just sent a bunch of magazines up in February to one of the crew members with Landon Huffman's team.
scheduled service of the day is Bobby Loomis is coming
And I got more memorabilia. If I have
in. The car number 10.
people
Ricky Rudd pulling in. It is tied 4.
that want stuff, I give it away if I can.
Fuel. What a great run they had at Richmond a week ago, getting a top 10 finish for Bobby Hamilton. All lug nuts are on. He is down and away. Work being completed now. Ricky Rudd's car as they finally get the left side. Problem from what was the left rear. Now it's off the jack, and Rudd is away.
Benny, there's something else hanging over these pit stops behind besides the sign that's hung out. And it looks like it's on the end of a long fishing pole. What is that?
Those are cameras, video cameras, videoing all these pit stops. These guys videoing them. And after
Yep.
the pit stop, they go back, replay them, and see what they did right, what they did wrong, and try to change things. Almost every team has one now.
Dale Earnhardt is coming down. He's a rather long.
If y'all follow Bell fans, George Bell fans, B,
And they have been rested.
BRI, Bell fans Racing Inc. or whatever.
About 100 yards. Total 500.
He will cover live pit stops and stuff on race day for the Xfinity car. Sometimes truck if
Right side.
they're pitting them. And that's how I like to watch races, is from
On the Kodak Chevy.
pit road.
Crew now working on the left
Pit road with the timing and scoring on one monitor and MRN playing is how I watch the races most of the time. My son's in there with the big screen and watches the race like y'all do, most of them, but I like watching from the pits.
Check also coming down.
And if Belfance isn't in the pits, I still will watch timing and scoring and hear MRN.
5 laps to go. They can go the rest of the distance, can't they? No problem.
In fact, I need to watch a race here. I didn't watch Langley from last weekend. The cars, I believe, were there, and I need to get watching that.
For its watch.
I have some people that I know that were racing in that too, so
Interstate Batteries crew goes to work here.
gotta check it out.
In fact, Bobby Labonte won.
I wish I could play Flow Racing on this for y'all, but I can't. They'll have a nut. If it's on YouTube, though, I can watch it. I don't know if they put it on YouTube yet. Sometimes they do, like Flo will put it on YouTube.
Changing West Side tires, Eddie Wood puts on the tire. Guns the air, and Morgan Shepherd guns the engine. They are down in the
Wood Brothers scorer's name was Sally Haas.
Terry Labonte is going to make one important chassis adjustment on this final pit stop.
Sally ended up being my boss at an in real life job for several years. She was awesome. In fact, I got her on my Facebook, but I haven't even looked her up lately. I don't know where she might be. Hope she's still alive. She's a little older than me.
But here comes the Rainbow Warriors.
I'll get a hold of Sally. I have so many old contacts I need to talk to.
As the Rainbow
I'm so rude. I'm the worst friend anyone could have because I don't express myself or call people or text them or take it 3 days to respond. I'm just a rotten friend, but everyone's in my heart really good. I think a lot of my friends. I'm just very I'm antisocial. Probably to a fault. I'm trying to be better at it. Calling family and such. Trying to be better.
Did you notice that? Did they really? Yes, they did. In the
It's not that I don't care, it's just that
Dick Trickle going out. And obviously these
conversing takes energy.
people in 9 seconds, but why should you worry about worry about speed when you have a 12, 15-second lead? Be sure that
I don't know if anyone else is like that. When I have a list of phone calls I have to make, I just cringe.
drops off the
It's just the worst feeling in the world to have to make phone calls.
has been in for a stop during this sequence, so this would be routine. Jackaroot is there as John comes down.
Young John Andretti.
Kmart and Pizza.
Andretti to pull onto pit road to see what the problem might be.
It's John Andretti. I don't think he's with us any longer either.
Sitting atop the
So many of us got cancer back then.
side, taking out fuel. It will be a
I don't know what we were using, but there was a lot of us that got cancer.
as if this is just his final stop. Now they stopped.
Not me
And Tim
yet.
said that the car was handling just
Knock on wood.
they thought a
but-
change of tires would help.
My dad had bladder cancer several times, and I have had trouble my whole life with that
They had a right
scarring and stuff, like similar.
mark.
So that's going
Knock on wood.
drop John Andretti back in the standings.
Knock,
Been down
knock,
to 19.
Now, I talked about Dale Jarrett Stockton a little bit short just a moment ago. There he is. Now, if we move behind this group of cars, we'll see that Jeff Gordon, the leader, has not lapped the 28 car. The 28 car is now back in the lead lap. He was able to run those 5 or 6 laps on those fresh tires that much faster than Jeff Gordon. Now, he just hoped for a caution flag in this 2 or 3 lap window. Jeff Gordon's going to blow by in just a second.
I have a computer.
Not pitted. He is the leader of the race. We're seeing a situation here of fresh tires and old tires. Dale Earnhardt with the pressure ones. He's going to be able to go by Ken Schrader, but Schrader should be in before too long for his last scheduled pit stop.
Kenny Schrader had a good weekend here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. His car won the ARCA race on Friday with Jimmy Horton driving. He finished second in the Busch Light 300, the Busch Grand National race yesterday, and currently is leading the Pure Leader 500.
Until now, when he comes in for his final pit stop.
Yeah, he died January 30th, 2020.
Speed limit down pit road. Here's John Kernan.
He was younger than me by 2 years.
To stay out there on the racetrack after he got a lap down, tried to get his lap back, and then hope for a caution. The engine's still running, not out of gas as of yet. So he keeps gunning it. Right side tires have changed. No chassis adjustment made. Probably
He had colon cancer.
the car had gotten a little bit loose on him, but Schrader's still sitting here all waiting. Jack is dropped. Kenny is down and away. 19.9 seconds.
I don't know what it was, if it was safety clean or what, but
Having been made, it's back to Jeff
could have been parts clean.
for this event with
Chemicals.
284 laps now and of 328 completed. He is about to put the 21 car a lap down. Morgan Shepherd running in 8th position at the moment on the lead lap. But now goes a lap down once again.
Back in the
Is just ahead in
80s, I was painting cars, you know, lettering and stuff, and you use enamels, and you use
has really been waving here this
a
afternoon.
lot of acetone, lacquer thinners, paint thinners. Never put gloves on, always just washed our hands in lacquer thinner.
And a word from our ABC stations.
Toluene acetate or something. And then I worked in a factory that used a huge rotten chemical called toluene isocyanate. TDI they called it. Toluene isocyanate. Coffee can size fumes would kill anyone in a 20-foot radius. But the fumes are odorless, if that makes sense. It's what you use in polyurethane foam for mattresses and bedding and headliners in cars, seats in cars.
No.
I worked in that foam industry probably longest in North Carolina.
All about that.
Polyurethane foam.
Tell everybody who won. And
I was more involved in customer service, plant manager, administrative assistant, and the executive assistants, and technical assistant, and
oh,
quality control.
no, I don't have to be anywhere.
It was a
Yep.
pretty big plant.
Yep. All right. All righty.
Most of the people that worked with those chemicals had to wear respirators later in life. I've got asthma, might be related, I don't know. Might be. We got something going on here.
Passing going out on the racetrack. Let's jump in some of the cars out here and
71 to go. We never cared about chemicals back then. We didn't even think about it.
a little bit of glare there in the third corner. Not very bad though.
That's Rick Mast directly in front of Brett as they go down into turn one.
Uh-oh, here we go. Battle for second position. The Labonte brothers, Bobby on the inside and Terry on the high side. Here we go, and Bobby has it. Jerry Punch.
A minute ago, Jimmy Maycar, Bobby Labonte's crew chief, radioed Bobby and said, hey, what do you have for the 5 car? Can you get the 5? And Bobby said, yeah, we'll get the 5 car. We're better at longer runs than my big brother Terry. Then Jimmy asked the $64 question. How about the 24 car? Can you get the 24? Bobby paused for a moment and said, are you kidding? He's in another zone. Forget that.
That's right. He's another area code.
Yeah.
Watches these guys go by him. Oh, crashed out in turn one. Schrader has hit the wall down in turn one.
Here's a Hendricks car.
Schrader at the bottom of the racetrack in the grass. Our 5th caution of the afternoon.
Oh, the flagman mattered back then too. He don't matter so much anymore with a Geico restart zone. It's almost,
This coming
he's
with
just a
little
token.
27 laps to go.
Now I guess the leader starts the race, not the flagman.
The body work rubbing.
Crazy times.
There's one hot individual.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Why is that?
Well, he's just hot.
Did he get help out there?
I don't know if he did or not. I really don't know. I looked up and I saw that.
What happened outside of a camera range, and apparently he cut a tire down, Benny. But yeah, he would be very unhappy
because he's run almost 500 miles, had a great run going, and to be in this shape at this point in the race is very disgusting.
Here's John Kernan down there as Kenny comes to a stop.
Kenny slides in with the right side, the right front tire dragging the ground. A lot of sheet metal damage and maybe even some bent suspension parts as Kenny's already...
He's blowing some oil lines off with that much smoke.
The car out of the cockpit of the car. They finally get the jack under it, and they will go to work on it now, Bob.
Well, all this does give the leaders, or actually everyone, an opportunity to come in for an extra pit stop. Let's go to...
Or a brake line or something.
And we will see 4 tires going on the car number 24 of Jeff Gordon. They will not put any fuel in the car. They don't have fuel cans here. They will just possibly tighten the car up slightly. Let's check in up where you are, Jackaroo.
Well, Jerry, it's a case of monkey see, monkey do. If the leader pits and you're on the same lap and you have any hope, you try and stay out. No, you've got to come in, take on fresh rubber. That's the case with Bobby Labonte and Terry Labonte. Let's go back upstairs.
You can see there's only 4 cars.
That announcer, Jack Arute, A-R-U-T-E, he is of the family that owns Stafford still today and promotes Stafford Springs.
There he finally moves away.
There's an Arute that drives SK mods as well, so it's pretty cool. I think his name's David Arute.
Sits amongst his...
But there's a family still in racing from the 70s or before, but I knew him in the 70s.
Suspension parts.
Yeah.
Back in the race after he hit the wall up in turn number 2.
And we see there's oil on the inside of the hood. Evidently he's knocked an oil line or something off as the tire was flopping around. See all that?
Benny heard me. What are they doing with the pry bar is what I want to know. Are they trying to straighten out an A-frame or something?
Got to get the car on pit road. Everyone's coming in.
Indeed, everybody not on the lead lap, and of course there are only 4 that are, have now some final service.
Man, I had someone almost wipe me out on the highway yesterday. Scariest thing ever. 2-lane road, about 50 miles an hour, just a short road from here to the grocery store. A little 2-mile road, and there was this truck coming toward me, no big deal. All of a sudden, this motorcycle pulls out and goes between me and the truck. And a second one. And I swear they were this far from my rearview mirror.
Still a lap down, but maybe
like 3 wide on a regular 2 wide highway, except the...
Turn it
yeah.
That way a few laps ago.
Yep, for sure. All right, 302.
It was like instant. I didn't even see the motorcycle. All of a sudden, he just goes to pass, and I'm right there. He went between me. I swear he's not a hood ornament for, like, the grace of God, but he went between me and another car, missed my rearview mirror. He had this room for his motorcycle, in other words. I don't know if he didn't see me or was not paying attention or just being stupid, but not only him, but then the second one pulled by. I mean, it was like I'm driving along, da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, like that. Like, I even went like that. I thought the motorcycle was coming in my window. Teledoc. Okay, Pops.
Okay.
All right, this is another commercial. Kind of a cool view, but...
Right, for that matter. Oh, look at Shepard.
Mark,
20-something to go. Can't quite read it.
Morgan gave him some room. But man, all the cars going by Mark on the outside now.
Most most of these cars going for position, although Rusty Wallace is
17 to go. I guess I couldn't read it.
As he comes off the corner, well, much a different shot. There we see those three cars, Shepard, Martin, and Marlin, all running for position.
and Rudd, although he isn't up battling as close as the others. Mark looks to the inside of Shepard off the fourth corner. On the straightaway, he pulls alongside of Morgan. Can he take the position? Yes. Morgan Shepard, by the way, a three-time winner here at Atlanta, twice in this race. And here is once again a battle for second position between the Labonte brothers. Bobby takes the position from Terry, or tries to, almost did. But Terry battles back on the outside. Yes, Bobby has it. But all that battling for second position is just more good news for Jeff Gordon, who continues to lengthen his lead over these two cars.
Looks like Gordon's gonna like skate away with this one. At least at this point.
Jeff Gordon just hoping the same problems that Kenny Schrader had a moment ago, whatever that was, that caused Schrader to get in the wall down in turn one. Doesn't happen to him.
Now there is almost complete overcast. The sun hit by the clouds, and that may again spell the difference in somebody handling good or bad. Bobby Labonte running in second position could equal his best NASCAR Winston Cup career finish. He was second at Rockingham 2 races ago. And now he begins to pull away from Terry.
Bobby Labonte has had a very good race car all day. Jimmy Maycar, all that crew, has done a very good job.
Sure has. He's been in the top 5 all day and in the top 3 most of the day.
There's second. Bobby Labonte we're talking about.
Coming down now, and there are 11 laps to go. 317 complete.
Bobby Labonte skated there. I think that was just half of the show.
Well, I believe he is pulling in and gaining a little bit, but I don't know whether he has enough.
He's getting closer.
Yes, he is. Yep.
Man, look at this piece up.
Car going down the straightaway here with a lot of smoke is Steve Grissom. I don't think that's going to mean a caution or play any kind of a factor, but Grissom was smoking, just for your information, as he came down here.
Don't let Jeff Gordon see that, because that's also Rick Hendrick engine. Now here's a battle for fifth as Mark Martin is alongside Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin has had a great race car today. Unfortunately, fuel mileage is the bug that got him. Had to stop short a couple times, and then the caution flag came out.
And these are 2 Fords, so they have 5th and 6th position.
Hendricks only had 3 cars then. They ended up going to a 5-car team. I think they limited them at 5.
Sure, as you would if you were out there.
And now I guess it's however many charters you buy.
Wow, look at Brooke.
Okay, you have a good day, Pops.
NASCAR Winston Cup race.
That's correct.
Thank you so much for hanging out.
Last year.
I'll catch you soon. You'll be live sometime.
This year, yep.
Ray Evernham watching.
Yep, he too was hoping that this
Thank you so much for hanging out, for real.
Jeff Gordon can continue to the checkered flag, but Wow. 7 laps to go. Look how close it is, and look how Bobby Labonte is cutting into
7 to go. I always liked that you never knew really who would win till the end.
real interesting finish here. Terry Labonte has dropped back to a comfortable 3rd, and Dale Earnhardt is in 4th position. Those
Bobby's fast. He's coming.
each other. This is where we keep our.
This is when you decide which side you're going to pass on and don't get up on his bumper. You want to keep that momentum. You want to be able to pass, and you don't want to lose any of those tenths that you're going to need to pass. You need 3 tenths to pass the car clean.
His driver.
Joe Gibbs branching out into drag racing in 1995 after some success in Winston Cup racing, and look, it's down to 3 or 4 car lengths now.
Yep. Jeff Gordon did not get to turn before that.
That car on the bottom was blowing up.
Evidently the car has taken on a push after that last tire change.
Bobby Labonte has
The one they just lapped,
our Winston Cup race.
the black and yellow, whatever it was, caught the corner of my eye.
Can he?
Was
That's
smoking really bad.
he gets through the corner, Benny, much better than Jeff Gordon, it looks like.
Looks like the Jeff's car has picked up a push, as I talked about.
4 laps to go. Gordon trying to hold off the challenge of Bobby Labonte. The interval still 4.
Bobby at this point just race the track, know which side you're going past him, whether it be high or low.
Trying his best. Rick Hendrick trying his best to talk Jeff Gordon and talk this.
Absolutely, you pass him high, he
Don't push it so hard.
won't be able to go as fast because he's got to use that track to scrub off that push. I'd definitely pass him on the outside.
In Winston Cup racing, Jeff Gordon is in his 3rd full year of Winston Cup competition, and Bobby Labonte also in his 3rd full year of competition.
See, Bobby ran that longer line around the lapped car, but he still gained running that high line.
Jerry Punch with more on the story.
Guys, motivation is so very important, particularly at this stage of the race. Jimmy May.
Now he's got his draft.
He comes by, Bobby Labonte. He says, "You can do it. You can do it, Bobby. You can do it." Repeatedly saying those words. And a minute ago, Ray Evernham told his driver, "You're the man. It's your race to win. You're the man." Every time he goes by now, he says, 2 laps to go. You're the man.
Well, there is all.
Now those are definitely the Wayfarer glasses. Those are the ones I'm looking for.
Talking to Jeff Gordon. Here's the white flag. We have 1 more lap to go.
I don't think Bobby can get him.
Shrunk in the last couple of laps. Jeff has been able to maintain this lead over Bobby Labonte. And now as he moves through the 2nd corner and sees the middle of the back stretch, he knows that there's only a half a lap to go. Still separated by about 4 car lengths. Here comes Bobby Labonte's final bid to take the win here this afternoon. They move through the 3rd and 4th corner. Off of the corner onto the straightaway. It looks like Jeff Gordon is going to win it. Yes, indeed. Gordon wins the Purelator 500 by a car length or 2 over Bobby Labonte.
Bobby made a good show.
Finishing in 3rd position, and Dale Earnhardt in 4th, and the celebration goes on in the Jeff Gordon pit. Here's Jerry Punch.
And Ray, congratulations. The car ran perfectly.
Well, it did, and I gotta thank God first. I didn't do it at Rockingham, and I gotta thank Jeff Gordon and all these guys second. You know, they make my job awful easy. Hendrick Motorsports gives us great engines and great cars, and Jeff Gordon's about the best driver I've ever seen. And these Rainbow Warriors, I don't know, they make me look awful good. I'm just proud to be associated with them.
What a cheerleader. You kept saying, "You're the man. It's your race. Don't let him take it." I mean, those last few laps, you guys back and forth talking to your drivers. Hey, outstanding effort. 2 crew chiefs, 1 and 2, and your great friends and motivators.
I'll tell you, this is fun. It really is what racing's all about. When you can have fun and you run second. I told Bobby
Jimmy May car.
about second, but I'd soon run second to him if I have to run second to anybody. But before this year's out, Bobby Labonte is going to cross the line in front of Jeff Gordon, I promise you.
Okay, crew chiefs here. Hey, Joe Gibbs, who owns the 2nd place car, is standing by with Jackaroo.
And Jerry, the first man to congratulate Joe Gibbs was the winning car owner, Rick Hendrick. And Coach, you said to him,
"Hey, he keeps giving us the 2nd motor. We want the 1st one. We got to catch Jeff." So proud of Bobby. I tell you what, really, we've been top 5 horse races. Unbelievable. He is just absolutely great. I'm so happy for Interstate, Shell, and Champion, and EDS, and everybody that's there pulling for us all the time. General Motors. It's been absolutely fantastic with Chevrolet and Goodyear. We just
mixed emotions last year when you lost your driver, Dale Jarrett. That's got to not be such a tough deal now.
Well, I tell you what, Dale did a great job for us when he was there and was absolutely fantastic. We think the world of him, but when it became obvious he wanted to move on, we said, hey, we can't do it unless we get somebody great. Bobby was our choice, but he was really encumbered in a lot of other things. We were able to work that out, and we're just absolutely thrilled. He is just, I think, fantastic.
Go celebrate with your driver.
I'm going to do that.
Let's go back to the tower.
They finish here the way they finished at Rockingham a couple of weeks ago. Jeff Gordon wins, and Bobby Labonte comes home in 2nd position. Well, that was closer than I thought it was going to be, Benny.
I tell you what, Bobby Labonte made a great charge there at the end of the race. It almost pulled it off.
He sure did. Good run for Bobby Labonte all day, but the man who dominated this race was, without question, Jeff Gordon. His 4th career win in 66 races, 3rd win for Rick Hendrick in 4 events.
That was only his
And Jeff Gordon about to climb out of the car, and folks, he
3rd year in Cup.
among the fans, but among the crews here as he gets unbuckled. And let's take a listen. Here's the winner of the Purelator 500.
Stay around, Brooke. Don't run off on us.
He got a big hug and kiss from Brooke Seeley Gordon. She is Brooke Gordon.
He had a hell of a talent, I'll tell you what.
Just a month earlier, and he celebrates here.
I see a couple coming up these days that got that kind of talent.
Long afternoon, and Jeff, congratulations on an outstanding day.
Oh, man, it sure was. These guys gave me a fabulous car today. I got to take my hat off to this whole DuPont crew. Man, this thing was on the rail. Bobby gave me a little bit of... He got me pretty nervous there at the end of the race. But, you know, we came here to Atlanta with the same car that we raced in Rockingham. It's an awesome car. Man, we might have to take this thing everywhere. But
I don't need any viewers. Thank you very much.
Coca-Cola.
I'm not in it for the
sponsor.
money. I'm in it for the friends.
In the world, and we're really glad to have them. But that new sponsor that's here home, Coca-Cola, we're really glad to have them. So this one's for them.
Jeff, let's go back to the beginning of the race. Early on, there was some anxious moments. You and Earnhardt down in turn 1. That had to make your heart skip a beat. What happened?
It sure did. You know, we had a little bit better car than he did at the time, and it was really hard to pass once you got, you know, out and the tires got some heat in them, so I wanted to get by him as quick as I could. I saw an opportunity. I didn't want to pass him low. I know what it's like to pass Earnhardt low, but we got by him, and then, you know, he did the famous Earnhardt move and got right back underneath me coming off of 2, and I thought, well, if I can stay outside and race him down into 1, we're all right. Well, it was one of those contests that nobody wins. You know, it's like who's going to let up first, and neither one of us. We drove down real deep in the corner. He slipped up a little bit and got in the side of me. I had to check up a little bit, got high. Bobby got by us, and we had to chase him down. But it was a lot of fun, and hey, you got to earn your rights when you're racing with Earnhardt.
Let me ask you quickly, you mentioned at Rockingham you were going to go buy a pool now after you won a lot of money there. What else is going on in the house? How about some landscaping? What's the next room you're going to add?
I don't know. We're going to have some accessories now, I guess, but we're going to have us a nice pool, I would say now.
I think Brooke was talking baby. How about it?
No babies. No babies for a while. That's we're gonna have to win a lot of races before we do that.
How about that, Brooke?
No, it's gonna be a while, definitely, a couple of years.
Those wins just keep on coming as they keep smiling here in Victory Lane. Let's go to John Curtin, who's got a family with him, the Labontes. John?
I'm in a Labonte sandwich right now. I've got Bobby right here. Bobby finishing 2nd, Terry 3rd. Bobby, 2nd time this year. You finished 2nd behind Jeff Gordon. You gave it a real shot there at the end.
Well, yeah, you know, the whole Interstate Batteries crew, they got me out of the pits real good. And every time, you know, Jeff set awesome pace there early on. And we really just, you know, didn't know what it was going to be hard to stay on the lead lap, you know, 4th and 5th place. But, you know, as it turned out right there at the end, the whole Interstate Batteries Chevrolet Monte Carlo crew got me out, and you know, we're able to get back by Terry. He got me off of turn 4 after we went back to green and got back by him and just gave Jeff a run as much as I could, but, you know, about run out of time. His car was pushing a little bit, so was mine. So it was pretty evenly matched there at the end, but he was pretty awesome throughout the day.
How hard do you two guys race each other when you know your brother's out there? I mean, you're running for 2nd place with a chance at the win. Would you run harder against each other if it were for the win?
I run harder. I don't know about you.
How about you, Terry? A great run today for you.
Well, it was. Our Kellogg Chevy ran good, and you know, we came home third, so we've got to be happy with that. It was a good run for us, and the guys did a great job on their pit stops and everything. And Bobby got by me there at the end, but we couldn't run with Jeff, and those two cars, they just had everybody covered.
Now, do you guys ask him? He asked you if you give any room. Do you give him, like there on that move there at the end? Did he just have a stronger car and get around you? When you saw him get up next to you, what happened there?
Well, I knew he was going to get me sooner or later, and he'd been a little bit faster for the last part of the race there, and I got by him there and tried to hold him off, and just couldn't do it.
All right, thank you, Terry Labonte. A fine finish today, Bob Jenkins.
Jeff Gordon, the winner of the race, led 250 of the 328 laps. There were 7 leaders, but a Ford failed to lead here today. A lot more post-activity coming up. We'll be back to Atlanta in just a moment.
Next race would be Darlington, I think.
I'll bet that truck down there is waiting on us, Benny, and he's going to be waiting a long time if he is.
Huh? Where is he? Yeah, right.
No kidding.
That's just all that we could.
Crashed. There you go. There you go. Now you're cooking.
How old those RVs look.
No kidding.
You should see some rigs in this development, man. I should do a walkabout. It's crazy.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations on a fine finish.
Hope I didn't get the...
Jack caught up with Dale Earnhardt.
Well, the first person that Dale Earnhardt wanted to talk to is Mark Martin, who I'm sure Dr. Jerry Punch will be talking to in a minute. But Dale, after the pole position win, everybody thought this was going to be your race, but then some blistered tires and some pushing conditions with the car. You really had to work all afternoon.
Well, the car was a little too tight in the center, but, you know, I didn't have enough for Gordon. It looked like Mark Martin was the best car on the racetrack. He was real strong.
Hey, now, wait a minute. Are you lobbying now with the Chevrolet Ford?
Tried to grab it.
Look at it. If he hadn't had problems, he'd have been, if he was the fastest car, he passed me several times, and he was chasing that 24 down. So bad luck, you know, gets you sometime.
The point's so important in the championship this year. What did you just say, Mark?
I just shook my head.
Was you not running good?
No, we didn't.
How many times you passed me?
Just two
Three.
times.
I counted.
3 times.
3 times.
Hey, Benny, guys, the lobbying has already begun down here on pit road in the garage area. Let's throw it to Jerry. Jerry, see if you can get something out of the sport guy.
Okay, now wait a minute, Mark. They are saying that you were the fastest. Your Ford was the fastest car here. I don't know. Did they see the same race I saw?
No, they were seeing a different race. That's just they're trying to guard their territory. They got everybody. The Ford's covered big time right now, and they're guarding their territory. And you can't blame them. I've done the same thing, and when deals are turned around, but. You know, those guys were just too much. We had a great run. I couldn't be more proud of this Valvoline Cummins team. They were awesome on pit road. Everything was great, except I messed up, ran it out of gas, and then I got a tire on the car that I was afraid was coming apart, and we're racing for this championship this year, and you can't race for a championship wreck. So I just came in and changed it and lost 2 laps. One of those deals, you know, and there wasn't anything wrong with the tire other than the car wouldn't handle on it. So it's a tough day for us, but we got another top 10 finish out of it. When things turn good for us, look out.
Hey, this guy here was 20th, 2 laps down with 150 miles to go. He finished 9th today. Outstanding effort for Mark Martin. Let's go back to Paul Page.
Yeah, if he hadn't run it out of gas, he would have definitely been up there at the front. The Fords did, in fact, race better than they qualified. The top 10 was split 5 Fords, 5 Chevrolets, of course, won by Jeff Gordon. So here, Jeff Gordon scores the 4th win of his career and drove away.
You look back at the Ford Chevy complaints and stuff, and boy, they need to be careful what they had asked for, because Gosh almighty.
I'll be waiting a long time.
Can I get a ride with you around to that gate?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned.
There's no way that that's right.
500 Atlanta.
Now they got a big
The international.
throw away big cars.
It's going to be shave and shine, buddy. It ain't going to be no buzz. It's gonna be
Oh, boy, here we go. Back up to you.
We see some gray hairs growing alongside that ponytail, too. His week it would give it that way. Well, when we come back, we'll take a final look at the stand.
I was 34
at Atlanta for the Pure Later 500.
years old back then. Prime of my life.
It's 7 minutes till, though.
We're going to use everybody.
Of luck involved in that, along with the safety. And speaking of luck, Rick Mast ended his string of bad luck, finishing 11th today. Rick?
I went and talked to Stonewall Jackson last week. He's buried where I live, you know. Me and him had a long talk about adversity. I understand I don't have any adversity now. We finished 11th. Thanks, GI. Thanks, Cole. We'll be back with you. It's hanging there with us.
All right, thank you, Rick. Jack?
Well, John, at the top of the show, we talked about the new breed. We talked about the Ford Chevrolet controversy. Has anything been answered? I don't think so. Chevrolet is still, well, victorious. Ford is still without a victory. The new breed, they're still scoring victories.
That's Jack
still
Arute.
running up front. That's what Winston Cup racing is all about, guys. It's the most exciting sport on earth.
He was the pit reporter at Stafford.
Dale Earnhardt is still the points.
And his family promotes it, owns it, and all that.
Field summary of the.
Look at that. 4 cars on the lead lap, guys.
Jack perhaps said it.
That's good racing, though, still.
Change here in Winston Cup racing. We're watching the Chevrolets doing good. Pretty much what you guys predicted at start came to be.
Yeah, it did. But, you know, not only was I impressed with Jeff Gordon today, but I've been impressed with he and his team all year long. Daytona 500, he had one of the best cars there. Won the race at Rockingham.
Man, out of this list, my dad worked with so many.
I think all he has to do is be consistent to be a championship contender. He's had 2 bad races, 2 good races, or relatively bad
I'm going
races.
to go through that real quick again. Let me see this list.
Some change here in Winston.
Let's see. He worked with 1, not officially, but he did work 4. He was asked to work for Rudd. I don't know if he worked with Cope at...
Chevrolet's doing good. Pretty much what you guys predicted at start came to...
what's the name of that car? I had said it earlier. Whitcomb, Bob Whitcomb's car with Cope. He worked with Nemechek, so there's 3, 4... 5...
Yeah, it did. But, you know,
6,
I impressed with Jeff Gordon
5,
today, but
wait a minute.
I've been impressed with he and his
Next
team
list.
all year long.
6, 7, 8. Dad worked with 8 drivers in that race at one time or another.
To Richmond, a good race car, and dominate here again today.
I think all he has to do is be consistent to be a championship contender. He's had 2 bad races, 2 good races, or relatively bad races, and 2 good races. If he's going to win the championship, he has to be consistent. Dale Earnhardt's worst finish of the year today was 4th. He's consistent. That's why he still has the points lead.
And we're going to 4 tough racetracks from here. Darlington, Bristol, Martinsville, North Wilkesboro. How's Jeff Gordon going to fare at those racetracks? That's going to determine what kind of chance he has of winning the championship in 1995.
And don't forget, coming up next here on ABC Sports, more racing actions. The IROC, the International Race of Champions.
Oh, wow.
You're going to sit right here and watch the whole thing. I'll tell you what. And it is worth every minute of it. Second, maybe.
It was filmed the
And if you were down at Daytona, don't tell anybody
different day.
what you saw at the final lap. But do stay for that final lap. And then, of course, a week from now, it'll be the Indy cars with the Grand Prix.
Let's see what's next. Darlington. I thought it was Darlington. I don't know that I'm going to stay on for Darlington. We'll see how it looks.
Here's a bit of Americana for you. The crowd's gathering for Winston Cup racing.
Dad would be with Moroso for this race.
1950. Now, is your television screen half empty?
And 95.
It all depends on how you look at it. It's a lot like life. Hello, everybody. I'm
1995.
NASCAR Today, and here on ESPN and ESPN2, we're warming things up for the upcoming
What do they say the date was?
telecast of the year, and that's special for us, and we are going to cover it as no other network.
March.
It all depends on how you...
I'm still not in North Carolina yet. I'm still in Florida.
First of all, up in the booth, we got the guys with the ties. Bob, Benny, and Ned are going to call it flag to flag on ESPN. Yours truly, tastefully dressed for any motorsports occasion. We'll first do the NASCAR Today thing and then jump over to the other network, ESPN2. Here's what we got. Follow me on this, if you will. Front row, got Jeff Gordon on the pole, got his teammate Labonte alongside. The Hendrick cars took the top 3 spots. We're going to watch them go into turn 1 from this car. Kenny Schrader has onboard cameras. Beside him, Ricky Rudd. That's where I was looking at you through the fisheye. He's got cameras and radios. We'll move back through the field. Come with me. Darrell Waltrip. He'll have cameras and radios. Out of the way. ESPN is coming through. None of these guys. We got to go all the way back. Can you see that 6 car back there? Mark Martin. He's going to have cameras. Further back, we'll have Musgrave with cameras. And in the back, the Pontiac perspective, I guess, for Michael Waltrip, he'll have cameras and radios. That's the Deuce coverage, all right? Then we got the guys dressed for pit road success, fire suited up for any story or anything else that might come at them. They're the best in the business, and we're going to go to them first for a little whip around of the stories we'll cover in this half hour. First thing we're going to do, call the doctor. Jerry Punch, what's the headline story here at Darlington?
Thanks, Dave. For the first time in her 45-year history, the famed Lady in Black has been given a facelift here. The smooth new pavement, well, it's certainly different. Let's go to Ned and Benny.
I tell you one thing, this racetrack is going to be awfully fast, over 170 miles an hour qualifying, and Ned Spotter's going to be very quick.
I spelled it wrong.
Critical here today. We'll cover that story. Now let's go back to the pits and John Kernan.
All this year, everybody's talked about the dominance of the Chevy. Next week, NASCAR taking all 3 makes of automobiles to the wind tunnel to get some aerodynamic answers. Bob?
And we'll be talking about the hottest team in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, not the 1-car Richard Childress team, but instead the 3-car Rick Hendrick stable. Dave?
All right, that's the big picture. Now let's kind of narrow the focus down. Let's get into some of the details. And I want to start with a little more extended examination from the doctor of this new track surface.
Since its construction in 1950, Darlington has posed the ultimate challenge for both man and machines. This unique egg-shaped configuration featuring turns of different radius and degrees of banking has produced a logistical nightmare for chassis specialists. And in recent years, the surface itself has become abrasive.
If it's not spelt right, it's close enough.
Chew up tires.
Close enough to know.
They come apart, much steaming and overheating. But no longer in 1995, a brand new racing surface, smooth and silky smooth. The drivers say it may be the smoothest surface in all of NASCAR. But smooth surfaces mean better traction, higher speeds. 27 drivers in today's field broke the old track record, including our pole sitter, Jeff Gordon, who shattered it by 4 miles an hour. But escalated speeds means more problems for drivers. They must concentrate. They must focus. Concentration, poise, and the big P here at Darlington, that is patience. Therefore, today, it is going to be whoever can concentrate at these speeds and remain patient. But we have a couple of guys who tamed this famed Lady in Black, and they are standing by. Here's Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett.
No, Jerry, you got me confused. I'm Parsons, not Pearson. I never tamed this racetrack. This baby is too tough to tame, Ned.
Yeah, winning one time here doesn't necessarily mean that you tamed it. We were in victory lane one time each here in past years. But yes, you do have to have a lot of patience on this racetrack. We've already seen a lot of trouble here in the last couple of days because of the extra speed. The smooth track doesn't necessarily take away all the bad things we've heard about Darlington over the years. And there's one guy down in the pit area that has patience, and he's one of the smartest drivers out there, and he's standing.
What did I do?
He's also a driver who has tamed this famed Lady in Black. Now, Darrell, on Friday before qualifying, you told me this new pavement was going to kind of hinder you veterans, but then you go out and you qualify 6th. What's the story?
Well, it's good. It's real good for qualifying. I mean, you can really gas it up and go hard, and I knew that, and I just had to convince myself of it. The deal now is a race, and this is where I think experience and knowing the racetrack and knowing what it can do to you, I think that's what's going to pay off is today in the race itself. It's a shorter race. It's set up, the scenario is great for a real demolition derby. It's 100 miles shorter. everybody thinks the track is all brand new and different. They had not moved those walls. They're right where they always was. So I don't really think you're going to see a whole lot of difference here. I think you're going to see a real wild race. And way it looked from from practice, we're all going to be chasing that 24 car because he's quick and he hadn't raced a lot here, so maybe some of that experience I was talking about, maybe he'll gain some of it today the hard way.
Well, as Darrell says, Dave, it's the same old Darlington, really.
And you're going to see it as you've never seen it before on our Double Clutch Network, ESPN and ESPN2. And we've got all the action previewed on NASCAR today.
The spotters. Interesting. Is this a live feed? Nope, they cut out the commercial.
Look out, 2 weeks ago, Atlanta.
Last week.
Mayfield slaps the wall, big long slide that reminds you how fast these cars really go. Looks like a routine one car.
Remember I said last race, the spotters didn't do their job here.
Upon the scene, a couple of replays indicate how scary this really was. Mayfield's car had virtually stopped. Michael slammed him in the back, running almost full speed. The immediate concern, of course, is for driver safety. Second issue, with 2 lanes open on the bottom to make evasive moves. Why did Michael drive into the back of that car? Well, how better to get the answer than to ask Michael? Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dave, let's ask Michael. If Michael's just coming off the stand here being introduced, well, he will start 28th today. And Michael, big smile. Glad to have you with us. We just saw that horrific incident in Atlanta, and it scared us. We watched it through a camera lens. It had to frighten you. You watched it through the windshield.
Yeah, it scared me to death. I'm coming off turn 2, and I'm racing with a car that's right behind me, and coming down the back straightaway, and Jeremy had wrecked so long before that pretty much the smoke had cleared except for where he was, and the car in front of me checked up, and I cut over to the left to see what the deal was, and I saw a ball of smoke, and I went high because I didn't have any idea where he'd been or where he was going, and it was the wrong guess. I should have went low because I drove right into him.
Fans have called and written and said, where was his spotter? But in all fairness to you and your spotters are asked to do a lot during a race for a driver.
Well, I made a commitment to myself a long time ago. I would never blame a wreck on a spotter. I got to drive the car. That's my job. That's true. His job is to help me. He was watching me race those other cars and was trying to tell me I was clear. Really, a spotter needs to be watching ahead. Watch the cars that are racing ahead of him.
Facts.
So when they do mess up, he can let his driver know there's trouble ahead. He just happened to be trying to help me with the situation I was in off of 2 and didn't see the car wreck up ahead. And so when I hit Jeremy, he was as surprised as I was.
Mike, best of luck today.
It'll be better today, I promise. Pennzoil Pontiac's running good.
Dave?
All right, it's a 1.5 mile racetrack. You can't look all the way around it all the time. The spotters are on the roof of the press box. Here's what it sounds like. Bill Weber's up there on a spotter radio.
Dave, this is the best seat in the house, but no one will be sitting here today because these spotters will race 400 miles standing up. This is the actual radio that Dale Cagle will use to help guide Ricky Rudd and the Tide Ford around this racetrack. They'll be watching for trouble and traffic. You'll hear terms like go high, stay low, the caution just came out. And you'll also hear the term clear, meaning Ricky has cleared lap traffic and can get back in line. Really, it's like having your own personal helicopter reporter to tell you how to get to work every day. Get in the right lane, get in the left lane, get behind that red car, and the traffic light just changed. But it's just an insurance policy, a second set of eyes. The driver can never relax and must race well beyond the hood of his car. Spotting is a difficult task, and at times you must be very thick-skinned. It will play a role today on this tight, fast track. Let's go to Benny and Ned.
And when did spotting start? I think it started about 15 years ago when some of our owners rented suites at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They would go up in the suite and watch the race. They took a radio with them, and they would tell their driver about trouble in front of them. And all of a sudden, NASCAR realized, and all the other teams realized, it was a great advantage. That's when NASCAR started giving spotters tickets to go up to the highest place at the racetrack and watch their driver go around the racetrack. And Ned Jarrett, you spotted some last year. It's a tough job.
It really is a tough job. I did have the opportunity to spot a few races for Dale when I wasn't watching television, and I'll tell you, the concentration level has to be equal really to the driver out there. You cannot take your mind off of what's going on out there because you got to look ahead, you got to look at the driver, you got to look at everybody on the racetrack. Basically, it is a tough job. My hat's off to them. Dave?
All right, guys, next up on NASCAR today, the subject guaranteed to arouse the passion of Winston Cup fans when we come back we're going to talk about Ford versus Chevrolet. About 20 minutes to the start of the Trans-South 400. You see the overview from the Family Channel blimp as we come to you with NASCAR Today here from pit road, and we look at the story of Chevy dominance of this 1995 season to date. I mean, they've won everything in sight, haven't they? And so that brings us to the story that everybody's talking about this weekend. NASCAR's plan to impound 3 cars from this field, a Pontiac, a Ford, and a Chevrolet, after the race, take them to Marietta, Georgia, put them in the wind tunnel that Ford uses, then haul them to Detroit and put them in the GM wind tunnel, run a bunch of tests, and not tell anybody the results, but use that information to perhaps revise the rules. What might the rules revisions be? Chevy wants this, Ford wants that. It's point, counterpoint, and for that, let's go, first of all, to John Kernan.
Careful what you wish for. That's all I can say.
Teams, 2 Ford Thunderbird teams.
You're going to end up with a piece of shit car.
The wind tunnel test.
Called the Gen.
The NASCAR is going.
Gen 5.
What do the Ford teams hope to learn from that?
Well, first,
next gen.
Let me say that
Gen 5.
That
Gen sucks.
The manufacturers, both Ford and General Motors, inviting NASCAR into their research and development facilities to be able to look at these cars in the interest of parity as a milestone that we'll look back on for years to come. Will set a new period of cooperation in the interest of parity and reducing the development costs for all the teams. I think this is just going to be great. This is going to be a really big week to be able to see what happens. The dark side for me says that we may just have, all the Ford teams may have just gone to sleep this winter, and we're not very good teams right now. We're either going to find that the Lumina was not such a good race car and that the Monte Carlo is the equal of the Thunderbird, or we're going to find that the Thunderbird is not the equal of what the new Monte Carlo is. And, being on one side of that, if the Monte Carlo proves not to be better than the Thunderbird, I'm going to be really embarrassed. There'll be 2 questions. First question is, how much downforce do the cars make? And the second question will be, for that downforce, how much drag do they take? On a really short race course, if you could generate enough downforce by adding spoilers to the front or to the back of a Thunderbird to make it equal to the Monte Carlo, that could make parity. It can make parity at Wilkesboro. It can make parity at Martinsville and places like that. But if you have to add the spoilers to make the downforce on this Thunderbird, as I believe that we will find, then when we go to Indianapolis, we go to Pocono, we go to Michigan, we go to Atlanta, the cars won't be able to race in the same straightaway as they could in Atlanta last time. It's going to be real interesting.
Very interesting indeed. Well, that's from the Ford camp. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who's with the Chevrolet camp.
And I'm with Richard Childress, the car owner for Dale Earnhardt. And RC, no doubt about it, Chevrolet has dominated the early part of the year, the first 4 races. And I got to ask you point blank, does the Monte Carlo have an unfair advantage?
I wouldn't say it's an unfair advantage. It could have a little advantage. We don't know right yet. I think it's too early in the season to make that call. Last year I think Ford won 20 out of 30 races. And, I don't think it's no offset than it was last year.
Put you on the spot now. NASCAR's gotten a lot of grief, a lot of calls, a lot of complaining. If you're NASCAR, what do you do right now?
Well, again, I think it's too early in the season to make any type of judgment calls, because, if you take Rick Hendrick's 3 cars out of down here, it's less than 2 100ths difference between the first Ford and the first Chevy. And it's been that way most of the year. And I think what's happened, Rick has just really got some good programs going with his race teams, and they've worked hard to earn where they're at. And I just don't see taking anything away from them guys right now.
I agree.
Well, RC, thanks for joining us. Dave, if you look...
He is a Chevy, but the year before with their Monte Carlo, it looks pretty... had to be redesigned for this year to be slopier because it had too much drag.
1993, but they have a new car, tested it at Atlanta within the last 2 weeks. They've taken it back to do some rework on it, and you'll see that car, 1996 debut at Daytona. Behind me, pole sitter Jeff Gordon, Hendrick Motorsports sweep of the top 3. They are the top Chevy team right now, and they're going to be our story as we come back live at Darlington, South Carolina, NASCAR Today with a pre-race special.
BRB.
Hello? Hello, down here, the one with the receding hairline. Hello, everybody. NASCAR Today. We're back here on the grid, dominated up front by the Hendrick Racing teams. Took the top 3 qualifying spots. Rick Hendrick, a guy who kind of specializes in doing things everybody else says would be impossible, like the 3-car team. Well, what have they done? They've won 3 of the races, and they've got the top 3 qualifying spots here, led by the kid who drives this car. Number 24, Jeff Gordon, has been on a fast track ever since he moved into Bob Jenkins' neighborhood up there in Indianapolis, and Jenks had a chance to watch this kid come up through the ranks. How about it, Bob? What's your take on today's pole sitter?
Yeah, but you know, I remember him first watching him drive a sprint car around East Bay Raceway near Tampa at the age of 12, and he was holding his own against the best sprint car veterans. Then he did come to Indianapolis. We watched him grow up in the sprint cars and the open wheel cars on Thursday night and Saturday Night Thunder. Gordon, without doubt, the hottest driver in NASCAR Winston Cup racing today. But his teammate, Terry Labonte, his second year with Rick Hendrick Racing, and the 1984 champion seems to be reborn with a win already at Richmond. The third member of the Rick Hendrick team is really the veteran of the team. He's the only one without a victory. His best finish so far was at Richmond, a 4th. Standing by with Ken Schrader, Dr. Jerry Punch.
And Bob Kenny Schrader will start third today, and he can take some special pride in the fact that his teammates have done awfully well, particularly Jeff Gordon. What an incredible young talent.
That kid's just real good. There ain't nothing you can say about it. He's got a good car, good team over there, like a lot of other people do. But, you know, Jeff's going to be winning races no matter who he's driving for, and we're just glad he's winning them in one of Rick's cars.
You came so close to winning here last fall, Kenny. You dominated this race. The last 95 laps, a crack in the engine block, something that just doesn't happen to you, and you didn't get to go to victory lane. Got to feel good about your shot today.
Well, we do. You know, we're just kind of wondering what's going to happen next. Everything that's not supposed to happen seems like it happens to us. But, no, the car's running real good. Obviously, the other two, Terry and Jeff, are. And we're just going to worry about lap 294 or whatever it is, something like that. You know, it's the first 400-miler here, I guess, and we're excited about it.
They try to keep it all even in the Hendrick Motorsports team. Of course, they've won up front with their rookie driver, Jeff Gordon, a couple of years ago. Now they've won.
Okay, I'm back.
Schrader's turn today, Dave.
A lot of people pulling for Kenny.
I don't know if my dad will qualify for this race, if he's with Moroso or not.
The start.
We'll see.
We go live here for our first big race of the season on ESPN and ESPN2. It's going to be terrific. It's going to be exciting. So what you need to do is, you know, call the cable company, get your picture-in-picture thing going, whatever you want to do to be able to see it. Every way we're going to offer it to you here live from Darlington, South Carolina. NASCAR Today, pre-race preview. We'll be back to wrap it up. Family Channel blimp pictures. They built this place in 1950 and shaped it this way so they wouldn't have to mess up the fishing pond outside turn 2. Just part of the legend of Darlington. And we're going to cover the entire Darlington story here for you. But one of the stories that everyone is talking about, of course, is this week of the comeback. Michael, what's his name, up there in Chicago, making his comeback, of course. And then here in Winston Cup Racing, 2 drivers coming back from bad crashes and eye injuries to get back in a racetrack. We'll start with Ernie Irvin, tested here at Darlington and answered a lot of questions.
First thing's going to be, what are you doing testing? Not just trying to find out if I can run again. Larry and me talked, and he said, well, where do you want to test at? I said, Darlington. And I said, because that's a hard place. I figured that the guys were coming down to test, and I figured I'd put this push car together and just be able to come down here and be able to just run nonchalant. It's not really, we're not preparing for anything. It's not that we're going racing next week, and it's just a matter of just doing some stuff. And you know, it's been 7 months since my accident, and I'm ready to start doing some racing and ready to start doing some testing and find out what I can do.
No, we're not talking about Ernie Irvin. It's Chuck Bound who took this hard driver's side first lick at Pocono last summer. Put him out of action until he did some testing at Richmond 2 months ago. And he made some long runs last week at Bristol. And, in fact, came back yesterday here at Darlington for his first real practice session, followed by the most spectacular qualifying attempt of the day. Watch 32, the Active Motorsports Chevrolet. Tried to run turn 4 wide open. Did 3 nice spins down the front straightaway.
Oh my God, don't hit
anything, but then right there, just nicked the wall.
We're glad to see both of those guys back, but we are especially glad to officially open the ESPN Winston Cup season from Darlington with the young singers of Darlington, and our national anthem.
Aw, kids, cool. I'll be right back.
The dawn's early light was so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets crackling, the bells were singing, and came through the night. That our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Yahoo! An American class.
Now I'm gonna be kind of a butt. If my dad didn't qualify for this race, I'm gonna jump to the Busch race.
South Carolina, so much a part of the history.
But otherwise, I'll stay with this race.
Winston Cup racing. Got about a minute, guys, to wrap up.
Because it's Darlington,
NASCAR today.
and it would be Hillen.
You can't mention experience without talking about this guy behind me. Awesome Bill. Now, he won the race here last September. He set on the pole in this race a year ago. He starts 17th today with a brand new race car and a brand new race team, McDonald's Ford. Watch for Awesome Bill to be a factor before we run 400 miles today. Let's go to John Kernan.
Jerry, starting back here, 23rd position, Dale Earnhardt, 7-time Winston Cup champion. Last year, he tied Richard Petty's mark of 7 Cup titles. Today, he goes for another title that some people might even consider more difficult than winning 7 Winston Cups, and that is the 10th win here at Darlington. If Earnhardt can come up with win number 10 today, he will tie David Pearson. We'll hear more from Dale a little later.
So many exciting stories to cover and so many interesting ways for us to do it. That's going to kind of wrap up my NASCAR Today gig here. Remind you that next week we'll be coming to you doing a similar thing up at Bristol with the Saturday show at 11 o'clock Eastern time and then the Sunday pre-race show. We do our best to stay on top of this Winston Cup thing for you fans. Now what we're going to do next, I'm going to kind of hand things over to Bob Jenkins and the guys in the ties and let them do their thing up topside. I'm going to hop on over and get into my ESPN2 costume and get ready to take care of that onboard coverage and team radio over in the other network. We're going to split the signals here just momentarily. So I think that pretty well sets the stage for this 1995 kickoff of the Winston Cup season. One last thing. I never come to Darlington without thinking about Dale Singleton and Richie Panch. And guys, we're still thinking about you. I hope you all go out there and have a terrific race today. I hope you folks at home have a terrific time watching it as only we can bring it to you. I'm Dave Despain, and that wraps it up for NASCAR Today. Stand by for Bob Jenkins next.
We're not in that one, so we're going to switch out to the Busch Series because the Moroso team ran both. And I'm mainly trying to research my dad's races, which the last one, of course, they didn't make it, but I needed to know for sure. And now this is Darlington, Atlanta. Ooh, Darlington. Here we go.
Mark Rippon still celebrating. It's because Busch Series regulars have taken charge of the season.
Michael McIntyre video on Austin and Plant's playlist.
Johnny Benson pushed his Chevrolet to the front for the...
Okay, this is BGN.
Notching the win and the point lead for the 31-year-old Grand Rapids.
That's Steve Bird's team right there.
Last year's champion David Green rebounded from early season misery to claim his first win of the year last week at his home track in Nashville, Tennessee.
Coming back home is always tough, you know, because you want to do so well, and I was disappointed in quality.
As a crew chief, Steve Bird got 3 Busch championships.
David Green celebrates with a commemorative guitar.
Maybe 4. He got 2 with Randy.
Get tuned up and ready for Darlington.
I think
Car Facilities, Darlington Raceway.
Seeming to think there was one more, but I could be wrong. He might have been on his way to do it with Moroso.
Fans 200.
maybe.
It is a beautiful
Robbie, I mean.
Central South Carolina.
Oh, he won with Kenny. He's got 4. I knew he had more than.
Absolute.
I knew he had 3, and I was thinking, no, he's got 4.
I'm Jerry Punch, and what an uncharacteristic beginning to the 1995 Busch Series season. Not only have the Winston Cup veterans not dominated the early events, they have yet to win. Take a look. All 5 events thus far have been swept by Busch Series regulars. Chad Little, the first 2. Kenny Wallace at Richmond. You saw Johnny Benson at Atlanta. And, of course, last year.
Now, I thought that I'd work with Johnny, but he didn't. Johnny was at our house, and he said that he was there to ride Birdie's boat. So I was like, okay.
In 24 previous events, 21 different times the winner had.
Ronnie Bouchard won there.
Winston
twice.
Regular. Of course, talking about experience, who better to comment on that than our own?
That was a good time.
Here's Benny Parsons.
I like watching that one. It's really old, like 82 or 81.
About 6 races before a driver really feels comfortable at Darlington. I know it took me at least 3 years.
It was called Sportsman then.
What I was doing at Darlington.
And then it was called Busch. Now it's called Xfinity, all the same.
I would ride around for about 30 minutes each time I'd come here just to get my nerve up. I tell the crew, that I was just getting the tires seated in and get my seat.
I still like Xfinity. It's a good class.
Going to the turn, and that's part of the experience here is to how to go into these turns and how fast you can really go into them, because each turn is distinctly different. If you go into turn 1 the same way you go into turn 3, you're liable to be into the wall.
And folks, today we've got even something different, a brand new racetrack, really.
Yeah, and so that is a new challenge for every driver in the field today, but we got a couple of guys down on pit road who have some experience here on this new pavement, Kyle Petty and Michael Waltrip.
Ned, I've heard you guys talk about how tight this place was when you first started coming here back in the 20s or 30s.
Look at Michael in the ESPN suit. How cute.
It's still very tight. The pavement hasn't changed.
Kyle, too.
This place, he didn't widen the groove any. We're running almost 170 miles an hour here now, and there just simply isn't any margin for error. We've seen some great race car drivers have contact with the outside wall during practice leading up to the event, so could be an exciting race, huh, Kyle?
It looks to be exciting. Now, we know it wasn't the 20s and 30s because we know you didn't get your license until the early 40s. But anyhow, this is a tough little racetrack. It's slick. They've repaved it. It makes no difference to me. I hate this place. I can't get around it. Experience means nothing to me. I'm waiting for them to fill this place up with water, and let's have a bass tournament here someday.
Good God.
Kernan?
I don't know about going fishing here at Darlington, Kyle, but I do know that Tim Fiedel hooked the big one yesterday. His 6th race here at this racetrack comes away with the pole.
Now, Dad'll work with him in
might have cost him a front row
98.
Stall. You guys are pitting on the back, Tim. What happened?
Well, usually I do the picking of the pits, and yesterday after we won the pole, we got carted over here to the front stretch for some awards, and our crew just kind of forgot about they were getting ready for last practice session, but we learned a pretty good lesson. It won't happen again. We're just happy to be here, and we'll still have a good run. We pitted there last year and on the backstretch and still finished 7th, so we can do it from here.
Well, the work's cut out for them, but they are confident that they can come through with a good finish today, Jerry. And, John, when we come back, we'll take a look at some of the other surprises in qualifying as we look at our starting lineup and have the green flag for 200 miles of racing action here at the track. Too tough to tame. Back in a moment. Our Speed World coverage of the Mark III Vans 200 is being brought to you by Nissan.
Mark III Vans 200.
By Suzuki. The Suzuki motorcycle and ATV dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the finance.
I owned a Mark III van for a while. I liked them.
The
it's okay.
Oil for hard-working engines. And from high above Darlington Raceway, the Family Channel blimp shot of this beautiful facility, 1.366-mile oval, front stretch and back stretch equal 1,228 feet in the banking, a little bit different, 25 degrees in turns 1 and 2, and down to 23 in turns 3 and 4. Race analysis.
147 laps. Pole speed today, a new record for the Busch cars, 162.905. The race record is 137 miles an hour, just tick over. Pit window somewhere 65, 70 laps. Someone might even try to go halfway and make it on one stop. And the first almost
162, and the other cars are going 170. Pretty close.
And what a day it was yesterday in qualifying for the 27-year-old pole sitter, Tim Fiedel. Well, he will lead him down, but as you heard John Kernan say, guys, he doesn't get the pit in the best possible spot.
No,
alrighty.
Kiss of death having to pit on the back straightaway.
There's the Fina car, the 20. That's the car my dad will be with.
and the fact that they won't have to make many pit stops, maybe only one pit stop here, so it might not hurt him as bad as it could.
And our Suzuki starting lineup here, 42 cars will start it, and he's mentioned 10 feet to 1. There's Chad Little, who's already won twice in 5 starts this year. They will lead him off in the front row.
So this is the time like where my dad switched to Moroso, Team Moroso, and that's their car there midfield.
Look at our starting lineup. You know, we might mention that.
Which was pretty good for that team because they were pretty much a backmarker qualifying team.
Morgan Shepherd in row 5.
Never know.
We saw Jeff Green, a great...
I don't know. It's hard to tell. There they are right there. They're pretty close to the back. Mid. Pretty good.
It's a good run back in row 16.
Look at Sadler. God, he's young. Yeah, Bobby Hillen will be his driver today. That team will go through many drivers in the next few weeks.
We should see come up through the field.
Rick Wilson back in.
Jeff Fuller in there, but I'm sure Dad's chatting with him, but not working with him. Benson is who Steve Bird's running with. So he qualified better than all of them guys.
For some of the pretty good. You might wonder why some of these drivers who are better on the speedways didn't get a good qualifying run, because they didn't get a lot of time on the racetrack.
Tracy Leslie saw him just a moment ago. He told
Facts.
He blew a power steering hose yesterday and destroyed a car. Hit the wall here. And then someone told me that yesterday there was like 15 cars wrecked yesterday, both Busch and Winston Cup cars, but probably about 10 Busch Grand National cars make contact with the wall yesterday.
L.W. Miller's in there. That's the one I'll score in Hickory.
When the cars are sticking better, why would they have that problem? My opinion is that they're running so fast through the turns, and when they get up each of these turns, coming off turn 2 and 4, that wall comes up in a hurry, and you cut that steering wheel, and all of a sudden...
They had me score L.W. for
drivers in today's field have
one race at Hickory.
That talks about what you mentioned in the open.
Yeah, I really feel like it takes 3 or 4 years to get to the point that you know anything about this racetrack. And
it was cheaper for me to go and score a car for these guys.
5 guys that have never been here before, Ned.
Now that's going to be...
Because I already had the NASCAR license.
They've read all the stories about
and I knew how to score a car. So.
That helps.
We were scheduled to go green next time, but...
They were the only team that actually ever complained. They said they weren't down 4 laps. I said, yeah, you got passed in the pits one time.
Just moments ago.
And they didn't know that. I think they pitted too early. Or they were like toward the back, and when they pitted, the cars were almost around again.
One of our in-car cameras.
But I've watched that race like a gazillion times just to make sure I didn't miss a lap.
Alongside Mark.
And our second in-car camera is with Jeremy Mayfield, Goodlettsville, Tennessee driver in the Bobby Jones UAW Ford. And Mayfield had a pretty good qualifying run. He will start back in 12th spot outside of row 6.
Morgan Shepherd right in front of him.
We'll see Nemechek driving up alongside in the 87 car in the rearview mirror. That's a great shot in the rearview mirror of Nemechek.
In the UAW Ford, today's field, 42 cars. Take a look, the 17 Fords, 2 Pontiacs, 23 Chevrolet, and 2 provisional starters.
Now this time, we can see the light is out atop the Pontiac pace car. We will be seeing the green flag as these cars come by, and Chad Little has been phenomenal this year. And that 23 car, the car...
There he is.
And Mark
beside the black flag car.
Yesterday and throughout practice, most of them...
Somehow think he might wreck in this, but could be wrong. But he had a good qualifying run, so
along with Steve,
pretty sure Dad was with them then, because they
once again
aren't used to qualifying midfield. They usually are back markers.
Almost 270,000 Parsons, and yours truly, Jerry Punches. This crowd comes to their feet, and we are set for green flag racing.
Car looks good so far. It's in a tight crowd, though.
Better start getting in line. Turn 3. They did.
Running about 15.
This marks the 4th consecutive Busch Series race at the pole sitter. Has not led the first lap. How competitive is this series? Chad Little leads the first time by. As you ride along once again with Mark Martin, who is back in 4th spot.
Steve Grissom directly in front of Mark. There's only been one race.
I jumped from the Cup race to the Busch race because that's the one my dad was working with at that particular weekend.
100-mile races here this afternoon.
Like I say, 95, he went with a couple, 3 different teams, I believe.
Got a glimpse of David Green's car number 44, the Slim Jim car, to the right side of your screen there, as he was able to try to make a move on the inside.
Starts with Cunningham, goes to Moroso.
Pulled away from...
Now, when my dad is at Moroso, he'll end up leaving Moroso and I think going to base.
Here comes Mark on the inside.
But I could be wrong. I got to check with that.
Third, fourth, just drove right on around. Grissom didn't contest him. In fact, I'm not sure that he could be contested there.
Mark Martin is the only...
Actually, let me think. He could have gone to
Raceway, including
Mike Dillon
here a year ago.
I'm going to check that. That's... Uh-oh.
Rick Wilson in the 75 car, the Food Country, alongside Bobby Hillin, and takes that spot away.
Bobby Hillen's in the 20. That's some pit stops.
Old tires and new tires as the pole.
Ooh, Fedewa.
What a heartbreaker, Jerry.
Can you believe it? Fedewa was being shown in 8th position, and the car just leaped sideways going into turn 1 in that Duragloss Pro-Cal Ford Thunderbird.
You know why it leaped sideways?
To get some Bengay for old Carl Simmons waving.
Broke a trailing arm in the rear end. Look at the rear end floating around.
Here's what happened a moment ago to Fedewa.
He comes off the corner, and he and Jason Keller are 3 abreast as we
see if someone hits the rear wheel.
Shelmerdine, and he goes.
Yep. Oh no, maybe. Oh, there's where the there is. It broke then.
And we see what happens when you do.
That was just losing the nose.
Former ASA and ARTCO Rookie of the Year, runner-up in Rookie of the Year competition a couple of years ago to Hermie Sadler here in Busch, and he got his first pole in qualifying in Busch competition yesterday. But
now it looked like we made it through. It looks like now the car they're a lap down. Maybe the first car a lap down. So they continued on and didn't pit, unless that was Family Channel. Now, looking from that far away, it's really hard to tell.
He's found on the inside. He's passed them on the outside. He's passed them both ways. They were
could be pitting.
2 tires here. They gave them themselves enough room to change 4 if they need to, but they might try a little pit strategy here. Grissom and those guys, I can see them from where I'm at. They've changed right sides. They're going around to the left side. Mark's still working on his right side right now. He's going to change 4 tires. So I guess everybody's going to change 4 tires. Try to go the last, 30 or 40 laps, and it's going to come down. You can throw the pit strategy out the window. It's going to come down to the best handling car and the most motor in the thing, guys.
Let's go to John Kernan. John?
A lightning fast pit stop for Chad Little, 21.5 seconds, 4 tires. Now, Winston Cup, that doesn't sound very fast, but for these guys, they don't have that extra air gun to take the lug nuts off the left side. You've got 2 air wrenches. The guys who change the right side tires have to come and change the left side. 21.5 second 4 tire change for Chad Little. No adjustments. Terry Labonte also took on 4 tires. No adjustments for him.
And we'll show you the replay from our Family Channel blimp of this incident out in turn 1.
We can see them 3 abreast, Ned. That's not good.
Won't work going into that turn. There just isn't enough room, and Tim Fedewa in the middle of that sandwich gets bumped from each side, and around she goes.
And Fedewa is in the pits, and Michael Waltrip is there.
They've attacked the left side of this car, putting on brand new tires on the left side. Some of the crew surveying the damage under the hood, looking the car over. It's going to definitely take them out of the lead lap. It's just bent in too many places. One thing about this caution coming so soon after the caution before.
The rear has been worse.
Under that earlier caution and got 4 tires, they now have excellent track position with tires that aren't in any worse shape, really, than the guys that pitted just now. So you see guys like Phil Parsons, Larry
Hillen just pitted and went by. Looks like they're fixing something if they timed it that close to the leader. I mean, yeah.
Play a factor in this race.
Yeah, the leader's coming.
And very good point, Michael Waltrip. There's the car number 99 being shown as our leader. That is Phil Parsons in the Bill Papillon Luxair Chevrolet. David Ip preparing that car as we have a Parsons out front here at Darlington. Back with
cool
in just a moment. And the pace car pulls away. We're set for more green flag racing action. Just completing the 6th caution flag of the day. It was spin up in turn 1 by our pole sitter, Tim Beadle.
And we see Phil Parsons, Larry Pearson, also the Johnny Benson car. The cars that made the pit stops a moment ago are now leading, and they don't have to stop anymore. So track position, everything at this racetrack.
Johnny Benson, Jim Bound, what a great run he had at Atlanta. Those 2 cars hoping to be able to hang on and maybe get a top 5 finish or even a victory here in Darlington.
There's still 21 cars on the lead lap.
21 cars on the lead lap.
Trying to hold on and get his first win in 1995.
Keeping the car right on the bottom of the racetrack. Pearson comes off the corner awfully well.
Got to believe Phil is hungry. Excuse me, definitely Phil is hungry, but Larry Pearson has not been in victory lane for a long, long time.
1980.
It's been a long time. Of course, he was out for about a year and a half, or something, and didn't race.
His third.
Johnny Benson running in 3rd place. Pearson trying to make a move again, going into turn 1. As he runs this battle. Ooh, he's awfully close to Phil Parsons going into the turn.
Boy, Pearson had a move on the inside and backed out and tried to go high, and Phil Parsons is right in the middle of the racetrack. That's right where he needs to be, and Pearson still.
Larry Pearson is a little bit faster than he is up in 3 and 4, and he's trying to take that bottom lane away from him and force him to go to the outside.
Let's see if Pearson can make a run once again on the inside. Well, he started to make a move, and no, he falls back, stays in line, and now maybe a half a car length to the inside. Pearson looks.
And look at Tommy Houston coming in there. Tommy's a lap down. And here comes Pearson. Is he have enough on the inside this time? Yes.
Larry Pearson has taken the lead in the Stanley Tool Chevrolet.
As Pearson is now our leader, Phil Parsons in 2nd spot, but the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place cars are coming with less than 20 laps to go. Don't you dare go away. Back in a moment. Back in Darlington, South Carolina, Larry Pearson driving the McMartin-owned Stanley Tool Chevrolet, showing the way here. But take a look who is coming. You're riding with Mark Martin in the Winn-Dixie Ford. He tries to make a move inside of Johnny Benson.
Wow, that was so close. Mark got alongside, but Benson came down the hill. Mark wisely just eased out of the throttle.
Pearson had pulled away a little bit from Phil Parsons after he passed it, but now Phil is closing back in a little bit. We got 5 cars, folks, that are running awfully close together. Any one of these 5 can win this race.
What happened was Pearson caught Hermie Sadler, a slower car coming off turn 4, had to back off the throttle and let all these other cars catch up. And here comes Mark trying to look on the inside again, and there's Chad Little. No one can really be aggressive because they have to be a little bit defensive.
Yeah, you got to drive offensively and off at the same time.
Alrighty.
Very hard there.
Shit.
Use these cars a little bit more maybe than the other.
I leaned on my cord and unplugged it.
Competition. That's a pass for 6th spot. Steve Grissom going by Joe Nemechek. Here's the order of the point standings, how they're running. Fuller.
Jeff is running 16.
John Tanner, Tim Bender, and Dale Williams.
I think that just backs up what we said at the top of the show. It takes experience to get around this racetrack. A lot of experience. And Steve Grissom, he's been here several times. All these fellas have been to this racetrack several times.
This is 95. This is when Fuller just started running with that team, and I believe
Jerry, you talked earlier about no one hungrier for a victory than
Robert Presley was driving for it or something.
Ran up behind that slower car, Jeff Green, and it's got those 4 cars nose to tail.
Of course, you just have to lift just...
Jeff Green has a problem.
When you run up on another car, it just lets everybody close in so quickly.
18 cars still on the lead lap here with 9.
Oh, a crash down in turn 1. But he's still going. He is not spun completely.
Oh, Jeff.
47 car of Jeff Fuller hit the wall, but he kept going, and there's no caution.
No, just a little bit of tag it. I want to see the replay. Probably don't have it, though.
Get his first victory since 1988. That one at Bristol.
Oh, Jeff.
Fuller has crashed coming off turn 4 now. The race back to the win.
Here they come out of turn.
Something was busted.
Can Pearson hold them off as the caution will wait for the 9th time today?
Oh, faster.
Refired. So if he gets the car moving, there's a chance we'll get back to green flag.
Oh, yeah, I think we'll get back to green flag. No question about it. It'll be a short caution, but this did increase Pearson's chances of
Rear end's cocked.
number of laps that he'll have to hold them off.
Broken trailing arm, probably from hitting the wall the first time.
260 Chevrolet Monte
Is why he probably spun.
Modified NASCAR champion, 3-time most popular driver up there in the open wheel ranks.
Sure was.
Lap 141, you see the damage on the Sunoco car.
Now, with just 6-7 laps to go with this other green flag, or maybe 5 laps, under NASCAR rules, we've seen these cars doubling up on the restarts. Under NASCAR rules, with less than 10 laps to go, they start the cars single file. And I think that's a very, very good rule.
Yeah, I agree.
All the cars on the lead lap will start nose to tail. And then the cars that are lap down will start behind those cars.
Still hanging in there.
Contend with.
Running ninth.
So you got Larry Pearson, car behind him, bobbing back and forth. That's the car that won in Atlanta. Johnny Benson, last year's Rookie of the Year. Mark Martin's already won.
This will probably be Hillen's best finish.
Some champions event. Round 2.
In his later days.
Well, we know right now there will be no more than 4 laps of green, because when they come back the next time, there will be 5 laps to go, and they still haven't been given the 1 lap.
At 74 is Steve Bird's car. They're doing really well.
You'll see.
Take a look again at what
Lipton car.
Jeff Fuller's car.
Well, he'd hit the wall down in turn 1. We saw that just a moment ago. And evidently, he knocked some sheet metal on a tire. He blew the tire as he came off turn 4, and around he went. I'm assuming he blew. Is he going back in the wall? Hit it pretty.
That's when he knocked the rear end off.
Maybe he just, a tire was going down. He did not blow a tire, but maybe a tire was going down.
Now, we all know Larry Pearson has been here a number of times, but if you're his dad, if you're David Pearson, you could talk to him on the radio, what would you tell him out there? Or would you say anything?
You would say anything. He knows what to do. I mean, Larry Pearson is a grown man, Jerry. He knows exactly what to do. Stay in front of that 74 car.
And keep the groove. You got to keep your groove that works best for his race car.
They would probably say win.
My dad will work for that Fuller team in 96.
10 times here at Darlington.
Probably 3 races in, maybe.
In Winston Cup competition.
Into the season, he's going to start
on ESPN.
With Mike Dillon, because he worked with them through the winter of 95 to 96.
Martin, Little, Parsons, and Grissom in the top 6.
Nemechek, Hillen, Barrier, Keller, LePage, Kevin LePage, good run for him, Tracy Leslie, Doug Hevron, Rick Wilson, and Jim Bound. Also Mike McLaughlin and Rodney Cohen, both those cars still in the lead lap.
17 cars on the lead lap. Tommy Houston, who was running awfully well a moment ago, he is the first car a lap down, along with Dennis Setzer, and the car that just caused the incident a moment ago, or a car that cut a tire, we should say. That is Jeff Fuller. You look back through 30th spot and now back through 42nd, the cars that have retired, including Terry Labonte and Mike Wallace. A horrendous incident in turn 3. For those of you just turning in, our rodeo will be following us. The Dodge National Finals. Rodeo coming up next at the conclusion of our Mark III Fans 200. Glad to have you with us. Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip, John Kernan, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, and yours truly, Jerry Punch, bringing you live flag-to-flag coverage from the track too tough to tame.
Pearson's he's got him coming awfully slow off of that turn. He sets the pace, and he must have some gearing in that thing that he wants to, that he can accelerate real quick.
That's right. They're very, very slow and extremely.
Pretty excited about them finishing pretty good here.
But you can see all these guys trying to anticipate.
I'm almost thinking the 8th is about.
There he goes.
Hillen's best finish in the later days, if that's where he finishes.
Yeah, that's a good start. Off the floor, maybe making him a little bit loose. So he got into that first corner okay. But now Johnny Benson's closing in going into turn 3.
Find the handy-dandy website.
Mark Martin's Winn-Dixie Ford. 3 to go.
Trust me.
Pemberton and the Mac Martin Stanley Tools crew. Yeah, you're going to right to celebrate. What an effort here today.
It's personal. I'm Finn.
I'll tell you what, and he did it. Kyle Petty.
Freaking idiots.
Down there, aren't you, buddy?
I'm sitting here with Ryan. He's doing. I tell you what, he's talking to 900 people all at the same time. Ryan. Yeah, you guys have run great all day. Hey, congratulations, man. I know you're about to cry. I can see it. Great. I know you went through a tough year last year. You've come out with these guys. It's been a long time for Larry too. What you guys gambled a little bit, and it paid off for you. Man, the lap traffic was unbelievably bad. We had a good car. We were 2/10 faster than right there in the middle of the race. We couldn't get to the front. I said, Dan, we're going to pit. We can make it from here. We're going to get our track position, get our tires. We run best on all tires, and that's what we did. Get out front and stayed out front. Congratulations, man.
Unbelievably, guys, Ned. I mean, he did it, and it wasn't easy.
No, it came from 36th position. So I tell you, that's a
The one advantage he had, though, he's in the top 10 in Busch Grand National points. He was able to pick a front stretch pit, and the fact he started 36th, he was still able.
We finished 8th.
Woohoo! Results here where your favorite driver finished. You said Pearson, Benson, Martin, Little, and Parsons.
Let me see what this says.
And Grissom, Nemechek, Hill, and LePage. We saw that, and we see the rest of the cars there as the top 30.
Houston and Setzer both finishing a lap down on 18th and 19th spot.
17 cars on the lead lap here at Darlington's pretty impressive. Good competition in this Busch Series.
I tell you what, this was a 200-mile race. Just think, Ned, tomorrow we've got twice as much excitement.
Right.
400 miles. Man, it was a great race.
And we're going to have it on
H's, but I can't see that far.
As well as our normal ESPN
I'm blind.
coverage. And there is the 41-year-old driver headed to victory lane. They had to sort of give him a little map.
41. Thought that was too old to race.
Larry Pearson gets his 14th career victory in Busch Series competition, but his first since 1988. That coming at Bristol, Tennessee. You got to wonder somewhere David's got to be trying to get to victory lane, because I guarantee you he wants to congratulate
David Pearson's son, right?
Larry, you did a great job, a terrific job.
Larry Pearson.
As he pulls his helmet off, and John Kernan is there in victory lane.
Well, as Larry Pearson takes the helmet off, really tough.
Trying to read across.
He's got a cold rag for him. Now he already had a hat in the car with him, and wipes his face off. Larry, congratulations. It's been a long time, and you finally got one here.
Have to look it up after.
Yeah, it's about time, huh? We won a lot of short tracks, but this is the first super speedway for me, and first win ever for Martin Motorsports and Stanley Tools. You know, they've been great for us. We picked up Associate Buzzsaw Apparel out of Charlotte, but you know, the Stanley people, they stood behind us the whole time. We've had some disappointments at the start of the year, but I knew things would come around. Well, they certainly came around to a big time today. A victory for Larry Pearson.
It's going to be just about over.
It's getting very crowded down here, as you might imagine, in Victory Lane.
And you might imagine that they are celebrating down there. Remember, we opened the year, we saw Chad Little go from 40
Yeah,
seconds.
that was it.
How about Darlington from...
I'm going to just look up the Hillen thing while I've got it open. I might have to get a little closer just to read these. Whoops. Leash. Let me see. H-I. H-U. Hey, Robert Huffman. H-I. This is a heck of a database, by the way. Wow, it's still H-O. H-I-L. Look at all that last name Hill. You see it? Bobby Hill up there it is. And it brings up this, and you can look at all the dates. See, he raced for years before, like 72 was his first Daytona. IMSA GT race. 84. See, Hillen raced a long time before Dad. 87. Hillen raced a really long time before he got with my dad. So 72 to 90, 95. Let's see. 88. I'm still not there yet. This is every race Bobby Hillin raced that's on file. 90. There we go, 95. Okay, this is weird. It says DK Ulrich, which makes sense. Okay, here's this little section we're looking at. They didn't qualify for Hickory. I remember when I scored Hickory, they didn't qualify. My dad didn't qualify, but I had to stay and score LW. Let's see. Darlington right there. P8. Darlington P8. And then there was an accident the next race. So Dad was only there these two races for Hillin. And they didn't qualify at Hickory. I remember he was there as well. And at Charlotte, that was a situation. He was driving for DK Ulrich. I know he didn't qualify for Charlotte Cup. He might have ran someone else's car for the points, but I was there in that race for the Charlotte one. Because we set up hospitality and we never got to use it, to be honest. So anyway, I'll have to save that little bit. Copy and paste that somewhere so I'll have that info. But that fills in some blanks for me too. Oopsie. Fills in some blanks. Well, y'all, I'll get back on the screen. Grab my mouse. Okay, people, I'm so glad you hung out with me today. I'm gonna jump out of here. Let me see what's going on. What's going on? I'm gonna shut it down. I'm glad you came by. And we're still researching a little bit of Moroso. At first it was Hillin. It's going to change. Maybe someone else next week. So we got to check that. So I'm in the process of looking all that up. And I'll get with you next time. There's me. See you later. I'm going to stop streaming. Bye. Love